Chapter 1921. Duan Lingtian's right. That's right. It doesn't matter if it's Duan Lingtian or Ji Yuchun who swear on the lightning penalty oath. Both would yield the same result and prove if Duan Lingtian destroyed Ji Yuchun's innate spiritual root or not. Based on the situation, it seems like Ji Yuchun doesn't dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath. Exactly. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, his words caused many people to doubt Ji Yuchun. They saw Ji Yuchun hesitating when Duan Lingtian asked him to swear on the lightning penalty oath. Not only did Ji Yuchun hesitate, but he even unreasonably insisted that Duan Lingtian swear on the lightning penalty oath. From the beginning until now, he was the one who had brought up swearing on the lightning penalty oath. To think he wanted to change his mind at the last moment. Did this not mean he was guilty? In the thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' opinion, it did not matter if Duan Lingtian or Ji Yuchun swore on the lightning penalty oath since it would yield the same result. Since Ji Yuchun was the one who brought up the lightning penalty oath, they all felt that it was more appropriate for Ji Yuchun to swear on the lightning penalty oath like Duan Lingtian had requested. More and more people began to doubt Ji Yuchun. This was something he did not expect. At this instant, he felt as though he was hoisted by his own petard. Ji Yuchun, do you hear them? All our fellow disciples feel that it's more appropriate for you to swear on the lightning penalty oath, Duan Lingtian said mockingly as he looked at Ji Yuchun. As long as you swear on the lightning penalty oath, everyone will know the truth. If you're not killed by the lightning penalty, it would mean you're lying, and I'm the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian was delighted by his counterattack. Didn't you want to swear on the lightning penalty oath? Well, go ahead, swear on your freaking oath. When Ji Yuchun heard the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' words, his face paled immediately. His heart was in turmoil. He wanted his master, Lian, to kill Duan Lingtian. He was not 100% certain Duan Lingtian had destroyed his innate spiritual root or not. This was a strange world after all. Unexplainable things happened all the time. It might be a coincidence that his innate spiritual root disappeared, and it had nothing to do with Duan Lingtian. If that was really the case, he would be committing suicide if he swore on the lightning penalty oath. Although he no longer had his innate spiritual root, and his cultivation base would stay the same, it did not mean he no longer valued his life. On the contrary, he valued his life even more than before. This was because now that his cultivation base could no longer be raised, his lifespan was fixed. He would not be able to extend his lifespan. In other words, a day gone by is a day less in his life. Due to this reason, he did not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath like Duan Lingtian asked him to. He did not dare to gamble with his life. What if the disappearance of his innate spiritual root had nothing to do with Duan Lingtian? Would he not die a wrongful death if he did that? Ji Yuchun's feeling guilty now. Tisk tisk, it seems like he was just baselessly accusing Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian probably didn't destroy his innate spiritual talent at all. To think I almost believed him. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene began to whisper among themselves again. When Ji Yuchun heard their words, he turned pale, and he was rendered speechless. Didn't you say you're 90% certain Duan Lingtian was the one who destroyed your innate spiritual root? Why are you changing your mind at the critical moment? When Lian saw Ji Yuchun making a mess out of the situation, his expression turned grave. He continued to transmit his voice to Ji Yuchun. Don't tell me 90% is not enough for you to take a leap of faith. Duan Lingtian's probably calling your bluff. He's trying to scare you so you won't swear on the lightning penalty oath. You have a 90% success rate. If you're right, Duan Lingtian will die. Lian instigated the matter. 90% success rate. A leap of faith. If he won, he would live and Duan Lingtian would die. After listening to Lian, Ji Yuchun's eyes brightened. He gritted his teeth and made up his mind. However, as soon as Ji Yuchun made up his mind and looked at Duan Lingtian determinedly, Duan Lingtian said indifferently before Ji Yuchun could swear on the lightning penalty oath, "How boring. Ji Yuchun, if you think you're at a disadvantage for being the only one to swear on the lightning penalty oath, I'll swear on the lightning penalty oath at the same time with you. Are you satisfied with this?" Boom. Ji Yuchun, who was about to swear on the lightning penalty oath after listening to Lian, felt as though he had been struck by lightning when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He quickly swallowed the words he was about to say. Duan Lingtian's confidence and nonchalance had completely destroyed his hard-earned confidence. In his opinion, if Duan Lingtian really destroyed his innate spiritual root, he would not agree to swear on the lightning penalty oath with Ji Yu-chun. The fact that Duan Lingtian was so bold to agree to swear on the lightning penalty oath meant that he was not afraid. Ji Yu-chun lost all his confidence at this moment. He must have known you're going to swear on the lightning penalty oath, that's why he struck first to make you doubt yourself. Don't be afraid. Agree with him. Swear on the lightning penalty oath with him. Li Yan saw through what Duan Lingtian was planning and advised Ji Yu-chun. However, Ji Yu-chun felt Li Yan was only using him. If he won, Duan Lingtian would die. If he lost, he would die. He only felt that Li Yan was trying to use him to take this gamble. No matter what the outcome was, Li Yan would not be affected at all. Now that he had thought of this, how could he possibly agree to Duan Lingtian's request? Fine, my innate spiritual root is not destroyed by you. I'm the one who accidentally destroyed it when I was cultivating. Ji Yu-chun said as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Clamor. His words caused an uproar among the people. Nobody expected he would just tell the truth. Ah, Ji Yu-chun is the one who wants to frame Duan Lingtian. Humph, I knew it. Ji Yu-chun is not a good person after all. He really caused a lot of trouble for Elder Li in this time. The thousands of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves, raising another commotion. Some of them even felt Li Yan had ordered Ji Yu-chun to frame Duan Lingtian. Naturally, they only thought about it. They did not dare to speak their minds. Duan Lingtian smiled. He knew he had successfully called Ji Yu-chun's bluff. He had suddenly said he was going to swear on the lightning penalty oath with Ji Yu-chun because he had been studying Ji Yu-chun's expression all this while. When he saw the determined expression on Ji Yu-chun's face as though he was throwing caution to the wind, he knew Ji Yu-chun was going to swear on the lightning penalty oath. For this reason, he decided to strike first to gain the upper hand and completely shatter Ji Yu-chun's determination. Naturally, if it really came down to it, he did not dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath with Ji Yu-chun since he really did destroy Ji Yu-chun's innate spiritual root. To be more precise, he had devoured it. When Duan Lingtian heard Ji Yu-chun's words, he could not help but sigh in relief inwardly. His gamble had paid off, and he had won. On the other hand, Li Yan's expression turned grave when he heard Ji Yu-chun's words. He already knew the outcome of today's incident. His plan of getting rid of Duan Lingtian had failed because of his lousy teammate, Ji Yu-chun. Humph, Li Yan snorted after he glanced at Ji Yu-chun. He turned around and left. From the beginning until the end, he did not say anything to Ji Yu-chun at all. It was apparent he was furious. Ji Yu-chun, if you and your master want to frame me next time, make sure you come up with a better story. This story is full of flaws. Duan Lingtian, who had won, was in high spirits. After he had spoken to Ji Yu-chun, he returned to his house. As Ji Yu-chun watched Duan Lingtian's silhouette disappearing before his eyes, his body began to tremble in anger as he clenched his teeth. His hands were so tightly fisted that his nails dug into his skin, causing blood to flow. The thousands of eyes that were looking at him almost made him go insane. Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian. You'll definitely die when my cousin comes. You'll definitely die. Ji Yu-chun knew he was no longer a match for Duan Lingtian now that his innate spiritual root had been destroyed. He would no longer be able to seek revenge. He could only put his hopes on his cousin who would be coming soon. At this moment, his cousin was his life savior. A month passed by peacefully before a guest appeared in the Black Turtle Sanctum of Fire Worship Sect. It was a travel-weary middle-aged man. When he appeared, he was stopped by the patrolling team from the Black Turtle Sanctum that was led by a Bronze Flame Elder. Who are you to trespass into the Black Turtle Sanctum of the Fire Worship Sect? The Bronze Flame Elder asked in a low voice. The middle-aged man had a huge build and an ordinary appearance. He carried a sheathed long saber. He seemed like a tower, firm and awe-inspiring. I'm Ji Yu Long. I came here to join the Fire Worship Sect. He replied indifferently. His expression remained calm even when he was faced with the Bronze Flame Elder. Then, the Bronze Flame Elder took out a spiritual pearl to assess his innate spiritual root. After the test, they discovered the middle-aged man possessed a blue innate spiritual root. The Bronze Flame Elder became much more polite when he discovered the middle-aged man possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Chapter 1922. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, there was an ironclad law that everyone knew about. Those with blue innate spiritual roots or higher would be able to enter the Saint Celestial stage as long as they were determined enough. The Saint Celestial stage was the highest stage in the Dao Martial Saint Land. A Saint Celestial stage powerhouse would stand on the summit of the Tao Martial Saint Land, looking down on the entire world. Brother Ji Yu Long, according to our fire worship sect's rule, those who possess blue innate spiritual root or higher will be able to enter the sect without any assessment. You'll have to stay in one of the 4 symbols sanctum for the time being. The Bronze Flame Elder became a lot friendlier when he discovered Ji Yu Long had a blue innate spiritual root. He even said, our Black Turtle Sanctum is one of the 4 symbols sanctums. The number 1 defensive divine ability, the Black Turtle's Barrier, is located in our Black Turtle Sanctum. Why don't you stay in the Black Turtle Sanctum for now, Brother Ji Yu Long? He looked at Ji Yu Long anticipatorily when he finished speaking. He hoped Ji Yu Long would stay in the Black Turtle Sanctum. If Ji Yu Long stayed in the Black Turtle Sanctum, he could then recommend this genius with a blue innate spiritual root to the Sanctum leader of Black Turtle Sanctum. He believed the Sanctum leader of Black Turtle Sanctum would be interested to take Ji Yu Long as his direct disciple. He would receive many benefits if the Sanctum leader was happy with him. I'll stay in whichever sanctum my cousin is staying in, Ji Yu Long said indifferently and ignored the Bronze Flame Elder's words. He was a genius with a blue innate spiritual root and had great potential. His achievement in the future would surpass this Bronze Flame Elder. For this reason, he acted very casually in front of the Bronze Flame Elder. The Bronze Flame Elder thought Ji Yu Long would agree to his suggestions when he heard Ji Yu Long's words. He was puzzled. Then, he asked, may I know who your cousin is, Brother Ji Yu Long? He's called Ji Yu Chun and has a green innate spiritual root. He came to participate in the assessment to enter the 4 symbols sanctums in the fire worship sect about 2 months ago. If everything went well, he should be a disciple of one of your Silver Flame Elder. The reason I came to the fire worship sect is also to become a disciple of the Silver Flame Elder, Ji Yu Long said. When he spoke about Ji Yu Chun, there was a hint of affection in his eyes. Several months ago, Ji Yu Long and Ji Yu Chun had made a pact to be disciples under the same master before they came to the fire worship sect. In order to take care of his cousin, Ji Yu Chun, Ji Yu Long was even willing to give up the chance of becoming a disciple of a Golden Flame Elder. He had told Ji Yu Chun to look for a Silver Flame Elder to become his master after he entered the fire worship sect's 4 symbols sanctums. If that Silver Flame Elder did not want to accept him as a disciple, he could use his name instead. Ji Yu Long believed that as long as he was willing to become the disciple of any fire worship sect's Silver Flame Elder, that Silver Flame Elder would definitely take Ji Yu Chun in as a disciple for his sake. He was confident because of the blue innate spiritual root he possessed. His blue innate spiritual root was his trump card. No Silver Flame Elder would be able to reject it. Why, you are Ji Yu Chun's cousin? Upon hearing Ji Yu Long's words, the Bronze Flame Elder could not help but stare at him. He had a shocked expression on his face as though there was something he knew. Naturally, he had heard of Ji Yu Chun. Their fire worship sect's 4 symbols sanctums would recruit disciples from outside every 3 years. The recent one was held less than 2 months ago. Among all the Silver Flame Elders in the Black Turtle Sanctum, Lian was the only one who accepted a disciple. All the Bronze Flame Elders found this strange. Elder Lian was the first Silver Flame Elder in the Black Turtle Sanctum, and he had very high standards. He had accepted 3 disciples before, and they all had blue innate spiritual roots. When they learned that Lian had taken Ji Yu Chun who had a green innate spiritual root as a disciple, they were confused. They could not figure out why Lian's requirement seemed to have dropped. Now that he had met Ji Yu Long and heard his words, he finally figured out the answer. No wonder Elder Lian took Ji Yu Chun as his disciple. As it turns out, it's all because of Ji Yu Long, the Bronze Flame Elder thought to himself. Ji Yu Long was a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. If he was willing to become Lian's disciple, Lian would definitely not hesitate to take Ji Yu Chun as his disciple as well. The Bronze Flame Elder sighed softly in disappointment. It seemed like there was no way for him to recommend this person to the Sanctum Leader of Black Turtle Sanctum. Perhaps, Lord Sanctum Leader would be interested in a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. However, he would not stoop so low as to fight over someone with his subordinate. Not unless it was some monstrous genius with an indigo innate spiritual root. However, a monstrous genius with an indigo innate spiritual root was someone that even the people in the fire worship sect's Saint Land would be interested in. For that reason, he would not be so presumptuous to take him as a disciple. Why, do you know my cousin, Elder? Ji Yulong asked with a glint in his eyes when he heard the Bronze Flame Elder's words and saw the shocked expression on his face. Yes, the Bronze Flame Elder nodded. Your cousin is under the command of First Silver Flame Elder Lian of our Black Turtle Sanctum. Elder Lian, the First Silver Flame Elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Ji Yuli nodded in approval when he heard this. It seemed like his cousin had quite good judgment. He managed to become the disciple of the First Silver Flame Elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum. However, your cousin's current condition is not very good, the Bronze Flame Elder added. When he reached the end of his sentence, he cast a wary glance at Ji Yulong. The incident that happened a month ago did not only spread in the Black Turtle Sanctum, but it had spread to the other sanctums in the Saint Land as well. The news of Ji Yu-chun, the recent disciple that First Silver Flame Elder Lian had accepted, losing his innate spiritual root had spread. Mysteriously, although his innate spiritual root had vanished, his soul was perfectly well. This was a feat that even a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse at the 9th form could not do. For this reason, ever since a month ago, this incident remained unsolved, and Ji Yu-chun's name had spread far and wide in the fire worship sect. Naturally, if Ji Yu-chun had a choice, he did not want this fame at all. The cost of fame was too steep. Now that he no longer had an innate spiritual root, it was impossible for his cultivation base to progress. It would remain stagnant for the rest of his life. His life was ruined. What happened to my cousin? Ji Yulong knew something had happened to his cousin when he heard the Bronze Flame Elder's words. Horror dawned on him immediately. Ji Yu-chun might only be his cousin, but to Ji Yulong, he was even more important than his own brother. He had lost his parents when he was young. It was Ji Yu-chun's parents who had taken him in and raised him. Moreover, Ji Yu-chun's father had died to save him from an accident. Ever since then, he had become a father and brother to Ji Yu-chun. It was only natural for him to panic when he found out that something had happened to Ji Yu-chun. I'll send you to the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. I'll tell you about what happened to Ji Yu-chun as we make our way there. The Bronze Flame Elder dismissed the others as he brought Ji Yulong to the east of the Black Turtle Sanctum where the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples lived. This is the uniform of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. During their journey, the Bronze Flame Elder gave Ji Yulong the exclusive uniform of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. Elder, what happened to my cousin? Ji Yulong's eyes did not leave the Bronze Flame Elder even when he took the uniform. A worried expression could be seen on his face. His innate spiritual root is gone. The Bronze Flame Elder answered with a sigh. His innate spiritual root was gone. When Ji Yulong heard the Bronze Flame Elder's words, he felt as though he had been struck by lightning. His expression turned grave immediately, and his eyes turned red. An oppressive aura began to rise from his body. His innate spiritual root is gone. After a long while, Ji Yulong asked in a hoarse voice. His tone was cold. What is going on? How can his innate spiritual root disappear just like that? Who did it? Ji Yulong knew very well what it meant to lose one's innate spiritual root. He could imagine his cousin's despair. I don't know the details of what happened. Even Ji Yu-chun isn't sure, the Bronze Flame Elder said wryly when he heard Ji Yulong's words. He's not sure as well. Ji Yulong was baffled. The oppressive aura began to dissipate as well. Initially, he thought someone had destroyed his cousin's innate spiritual root. That was why he was so furious. However, now that he heard even his cousin was not sure of what had happened, he felt a sense of helplessness. Under the guidance of the Bronze Flame Elder, Ji Yulong finally arrived at the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. After he located the Tertius house Ji Yu-chun was staying in with the help of a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, the Bronze Flame Elder left after bidding goodbye to Ji Yulong. Meanwhile, Ji Yulong descended from the sky and made his way to the Tertius house. Who's he? He looks unfamiliar, the Bronze Flame Elder just brought him here. It seems like he's looking for Ji Yu-chun. Ji Yulong's appearance naturally attracted many of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Bam, 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 Ji Yulong knocked on the door before it finally opened. Brother. When Ji Yu-chun opened the door and saw Ji Yulong, his originally pale face brightened immediately. It was as though he had just seen his life savior. He jumped forward excitedly and hugged Ji Yulong. He did not let go for a long time. Brother, you must help me. You must seek revenge for me. Before Ji Yulong could say anything, Ji Yu-chun had already spoken. His voice was agitated when he spoke. Chapter 1923, Seek Revenge. Ji Yulong was stunned when he heard Ji Yu-chun's words. He pushed Ji Yu-chun away before he asked in his deep voice, "Little Chun, what happened? Is your innate spiritual root really gone?" "Brother, it's true, my innate spiritual root is really gone," Ji Yu-chun said with a sorrowful expression. Ji Yu-long felt his heart ached when he heard this. How can an innate spiritual root disappear just like that? You even told me to seek revenge for you. Seek revenge from who? Ji Yu-long asked with a frown. He was puzzled. According to the Bronze Flame Elder, even his cousin did not know why or how his innate spiritual root had disappeared. If that was the case, who did Ji Yu-chun want him to seek revenge from? "Brother, I suspect my innate spiritual root is destroyed by Duan Ling Tian. However, I have no proof, and I'm not completely sure that he's the culprit. If it's not him, then I don't know why my innate spiritual root would disappear for no reason," Ji Yu-chun said in response to Ji Yu-long's questions. He told Ji Yu-long about his dispute with Duan Ling Tian and all the things that had happened whenever he encountered him. "I think he's the biggest suspect. I have a strong feeling he has something to do with the disappearance of my innate spiritual root," Ji Yu-chun said through clenched teeth. His expression was fierce as he fisted his hands tightly. He cast his territory and blocked everyone's sights. "Based on what you said, it seems highly likely that he has something to do with the disappearance of your innate spiritual root." Ji Yu-long's eyes flashed coldly. After he thought about it for a while, he said, "He must have mastered some secret technique that can destroy someone's innate spiritual root without harming that person's soul. However, in everyone's opinion, it's impossible for a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse to destroy a person's innate without harming that person's soul, let alone someone like Duan Ling Tian. This is why nobody suspects him at all." A terrifying killing intent rose from Ji Yu-long's body when he finished speaking. If Duan Ling Tian was here, he would have been shocked by Ji Yu-long's words. Although Ji Yu-long's words were not entirely correct, it was still quite close to the truth. It's highly likely that's what had happened. However, a month ago, I didn't dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath because I'm not 100% certain. I didn't dare to take the risk. I was afraid I would be killed by the lightning penalty if he really has nothing to do with the disappearance of my innate spiritual root. Brother, am I weak? Are you disappointed in me? Ji Yu-chun was like a child in front of Ji Yu-long. No, you're not weak, little Chun. You're just being careful. You did well, little Chun. Ji Yu-long shook his head when he heard Ji Yu-chun's words. His eyes flashed fiercely as though he was about to kill someone. Naturally, it was not directed at Ji Yu-chun. It was directed at Duan Ling Tian, whom he had not even met yet. Brother, I want Duan Ling Tian dead. Ji Yu-long's arrival had pulled Ji Yu-chun out of his despair. His eyes glinted with killing intent. His expression turned ugly when he thought about Duan Ling Tian, whom he regarded as his mortal enemy. Don't worry, I won't let him live, Ji Yu-long said as he changed into the exclusive uniform of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple that the Bronze Flame Elder had given him. Now that he had worn the uniform, he had officially become a disciple of the Fire Worship sect. To be more precise, he had become a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple in the Fire Worship sect. Brother, the rules in the Fire Worship sect are very strict, so we must come up with a method that won't violate the rules when we deal with Duan Ling Tian. It's not worth it to sacrifice ourselves just to seek revenge from him, Ji Yu-chun said coldly after he took a deep breath. There's no need for that. Ji Yu-long rejected his words immediately in a tone that brooked no argument when he heard Ji Yu-chun's words. When Ji Yu-long saw Ji Yu-chun had fallen into a daze when he saw how vehemently he had refused him, he explained, Little Chun, don't forget that I have a blue innate spiritual root. Even if I break the rules and kill Duan Ling Tian, do you really think the sect is going to punish me for the sake of an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root? Of course not. Ji Yu-chun shook his head without any hesitation. What a joke. A genius with a blue innate spiritual root was not someone with a yellow innate spiritual root could compare to. Even if the former killed the latter, the Fire Worship sect would not harshly punish the former since they needed more geniuses in the sect. A genius with a blue innate spiritual root would definitely become a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse in the future. It would be easy for him to become a Silver Flame Elder or even a Golden Flame Elder. Among the Golden Flame Elders in the Fire Worship sect, there were currently 3 Golden Flame Elders who possessed blue innate spiritual roots. Would the Fire Worship sect kill a soon-to-be Silver Flame Elder or possibly a Golden Flame Elder for the sake of an ordinary disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root? Of course not. If I kill Duan Lingtian without wearing the uniform of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples, it would be different since it can be considered as an outsider provoking the fire worship sect. They'll definitely not let me go. However, now that I'm a disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum, I'll just be killing a fellow disciple. At the most, they'll give me a slap on the wrist. If I show them my strength, it's certain that they wouldn't do anything to me. Especially not for someone like Duan Lingtian. Ji Yulong said confidently. Little Chun, which Tertius house is Duan Lingtian staying in? Ji Yulong said. He rose up into the air. His eyes looked fierce as he looked at the thousands of Tertius houses in the surroundings. He's also a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. Although some of the Black Turtle Sanctum did not hear Ji Yuchun and Ji Yulong's conversation, they could tell they had a close relationship. Moreover, they could see Ji Yulong was also dressed in the Black Turtle Sanctum's uniform. I've never seen him before. Don't tell me he has just arrived in the fire worship sect. He just arrived, then he must be a martial genius. Only geniuses with blue innate spiritual roots or higher are allowed to enter the fire worship sect at any time. Could it be that this person possesses the blue innate spiritual root? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple began to discuss among themselves as they trained their burning gazes on Ji Yulong, who was hovering in the air. They could clearly sense the killing intent Ji Yulong emitted. What's he trying to do? Many of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples shuddered when they felt his killing intent. Brother, it's that one. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene heard Ji Yuchun's voice. They saw him rising up into the air as well as he pointed a finger at a Tertius house in the distance. Doesn't that Tertius house belong to Duan Lingtian? Many people knew the Tertius house Ji Yuchun was pointing at belonged to Duan Lingtian. They instantly figured out what was going on. It was obvious Ji Yulong's killing intent was directed at Duan Lingtian. I heard Ji Yuchun calling him brother. He's Ji Yuchun's brother. Many people began to focus on the way Ji Yuchun addressed Ji Yulong. It caused an uproar among the disciples. It did not occur to them that this newcomer was Ji Yuchun's brother. No matter how they guessed earlier, it did not occur to any of them that this person was actually Ji Yuchun's brother. At the same time, a figure appeared inside the Tertius house that Ji Yuchun was pointing at. Duan Lingtian had just exited the Seven Treasures Pagoda. Elder Huo said that somebody has malicious intent toward me outside. Duan Lingtian had stopped cultivating and left the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda because Elder Huo had alerted him of someone who was coming with malicious intent. He left the Tertius house immediately after he put away the Seven Treasure Exquisite Pagoda. The instant he went out, he instantly felt two fierce gazes filled with killing intent that was trained on him. Is it Ji Yuchun and Lian again? Duan Lingtian thought to himself before he turned to look at them. When he raised his head to look at the owners of the eyes, he discovered that apart of Ji Yuchun, there was another person whom he did not recognize standing next to him. It was clearly not Lian. It was a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who carried a long saber behind him. At this moment, he could feel the killing intent from that person. It was obvious that person's target was him. Who's he? Duan Lingtian was puzzled when he saw the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple standing next to Ji Yuchun. Brother, that's him. At the same time, Duan Lingtian heard Ji Yuchun's furious voice as he spoke to the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who was carrying a long saber. Ji Yuchun's brother. Duan Lingtian finally figured out what was happening. As it turned out, this Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple was Ji Yuchun's brother. No wonder he was targeted by him. I didn't know Ji Yuchun's brother is also in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Duan Lingtian thought Ji Yuchun's brother had been in the Black Turtle Sanctum for some time. It did not occur to him that Ji Yulong had only just arrived at the Black Turtle Sanctum today. It did not even cross his mind that Ji Yulong was a genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. You're Duan Lingtian? Ji Yulong asked in a cold voice as soon as Ji Yuchun finished speaking. So what if I am? Duan Lingtian did not bother with being polite since he knew they came with ill intention. You're really impudent, Ji Yulong said with a grave expression. At the same time, he raised his hand and unsheathed the long saber behind him. I'd like to see if you have the ability to act so impudent. Chapter 1924. Swish. The sound of saber whistled in the air. As soon as Ji Yulong drew his long saber out, he instantly struck at Duan Lingtian. The saber ray that was like a crescent moon and 100 meters wide swept toward Duan Lingtian. In its wake, the air seemed to have gone still. Only the sound of saber whistling in the air could be heard. Swish, 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 swish. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were horrified. They did not expect Ji Yu Chun's brother would be so daring. He actually attacked Duan Ling Tian, completely disregarding the fire worship sect's rules. Most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples felt that he was seeking death. Killing a fellow disciple was a serious crime after all. Whoosh! At this moment, not only were the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples horrified, but even Duan Ling Tian was horrified. He did not expect Ji Yu Chun's brother to attack him as well. Moreover, based on his actions, it was obvious he was trying to kill him. Golden Crow's wings, Duan Ling Tian called out when faced with the saber ray that was sweeping toward him from the sky. The Sun Saint energy in his 99 Saint veins began to circulate. In just a blink of an eye, the Sun Saint energy covered Duan Ling Tian's body and a pair of huge wings that seemed as though they were made from flames appeared on his back. This was the Golden Crow's wings, the high-grade movement divine ability that Duan Ling Tian had mastered. Boom! Duan Ling Tian flapped the Golden Crow's wings, setting off a thunderous sound and causing the air to violently stir. His body shot out like a cannonball as he brushed past the saber ray that swept down from the sky. Whoosh! The speed of the saber ray and the vast saint energy contained in the saber ray sent fear into Duan Ling Tian's heart. He was certain of one thing. Ji Yu Chun's brother had to be an elite powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary saint stage if he was not at the quintessential saint stage. Otherwise, his casual slash of sword would not be so terrifying. Boom! Duan Ling Tian was still in fear thinking about Ji Yu Chun's brother's cultivation base when a loud noise sounded by his ear. It sounded as though something had collapsed. As it turned out, it was the sound of Duan Ling Tian's Tertius house being destroyed by the saber ray. It collapsed, raising dust around it. From the moment Ji Yu Long pulled out his saber to Duan Ling Tian evading his attack and the fall of his Tertius house, everything happened at lightning speed. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples regained their senses when the Tertius house collapsed. What happened? What happened? Ji Yu Long had created a huge commotion, surprising many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. Some disciples who were in their houses even walked out with a confused expression on their faces. After they came out, they learned about what was happening from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were present since the beginning. Ji Yu Chun's brother, he's also a disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum. He immediately attacked Duan Ling Tian as soon as he saw him, disregarding the fire worship sect's rules. Isn't he afraid of death? According to our fire worship sect's rules, he'll die if he kills Duan Ling Tian. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who just came out were shocked. They kept talking about the rules in the fire worship sect. They were shocked by Ji Yu Chun's brother's disregard for the sect's rules. Is Ji Yu Chun's brother really not afraid of death? Even the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were present since the beginning was baffled. Ji Yu Long did not seem like someone who did not fear death. What made him decide to disregard the rules in the fire worship sect? Under the watchful eyes of the others, Ji Yu Long looked at Duan Ling Tian coldly as he said indifferently, "No wonder my cousin couldn't do anything to you. You're quite strong. Unfortunately for you, your strength is nothing to me, Ji Yu Long. My earlier attack is just a casual strike. You won't be so lucky the next time." Ji Yu Long. His name's Ji Yu Long. I've never heard of him before. Since when does the Black Turtle Sanctum has such an amazing person? Earlier, I saw a Bronze Flame Elder personally escorting him here. Not only that, but the Bronze Flame Elder seems very courteous to him as well. Don't tell me he's a new disciple who only arrived today. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among each other as they stared at Ji Yu Long. Some of them had a solemn expression on their faces as they said, "If Ji Yu Long has only arrived today, does this mean he's a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root or higher?" That's possible. In the fire worship sect, only geniuses with blue innate spiritual roots or above are allowed to enter the sect at any time. It's very likely that Ji Yu Long has a blue innate spiritual root. Blue spiritual root. That means it's certain he'll be able to break through to the Saint Celestial stage. If Ji Yu Long really has a blue innate spiritual root, no matter how bad his performance is, he'll still be able to become a Silver Flame Elder in the fire worship sect. That's right. If he really has a blue innate spiritual root, it might even be possible for him to become a Golden Flame Elder if he works hard. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began to whisper among themselves again. They concluded that Ji Yu Long must be a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. If he really has a blue innate spiritual root, then his actions make sense. That's probably why he dares to disregard the rules of our sect. With his innate spiritual root, the sect won't kill him even if he kills Duan Lingtian. One Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple suddenly said. The moment his words left his mouth, the other Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were hit with a pang of realization. That's right, a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root is worth nurturing in the fire worship sect. Duan Lingtian only has a yellow innate spiritual root. Even if he dies, the sect won't sentence someone who has a blue innate spiritual root to death. At most, they would put on a show and punish him without harming him. Then, this means nothing's going to happen to Ji Yulong even if he kills Duan Lingtian. Hypothetically, yes, it seems like Duan Lingtian is doomed. Duan Lingtian naturally heard the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' discussion. It caused his expression to change. He was shocked. You have a blue innate spiritual root? Duan Lingtian asked as he stared at Ji Yulong intently. If one paid closer attention, one would be able to see Duan Lingtian's eyes had brightened subtly as though he had just seen a treasure. Duan Lingtian, are you scared now that you find out my cousin has a blue innate spiritual root? Ji Yuchun asked after he laughed. He did not give Ji Yulong a chance to reply first. He had a delighted expression on his face. After that, he transmitted his voice to Duan Lingtian and said some things that could not be said out loud. Duan Lingtian, even if my brother violates the rules and kills you, the sect will only give him a slap on the wrist at most because he has a blue innate spiritual root. They won't harm him at all. Don't you regret offending me? Unfortunately, there's no cure for regret in this world. You can only blame yourself for not being discerning enough and offending me. He had a smug smile on his face when he finished transmitting his voice. However, the smug smile soon disappeared when he discovered that Duan Lingtian had ignored him. He did not even bother to look at him. His gaze was trained on Ji Yulong from the beginning until now. Blue spiritual root. Good, that's great. Nobody understood Duan Lingtian's current emotion. He was extremely excited when he found out Ji Yulong possessed the medium-grade blue innate spiritual root. If I can devour his blue innate spiritual root, I'll be able to turn my innate spiritual root green even if I can't devour all of the energy. This was why Duan Lingtian was looking at Ji Yulong as though he was a treasure. As it turned out, he coveted Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root. The moment Ji Yulong decided to kill Duan Lingtian, it was obvious neither of them would be able to rest until one of them died. Therefore, Duan Lingtian did not think he would feel guilty if he devoured Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root. At this moment, he only felt extremely excited. Judging by the current situation, Ji Yulong must only be a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he thought of this. He was confident he could kill someone at the early quintessential saint stage if he used all his strength unreservedly with the Jasper Celestial Sword. However, if that person was at the intermediate quintessential saint stage or above, he would not be able to kill him even if he used everything in his arsenal. Little Chun, why are you wasting your saliva on him? Ji Yulong smirked. His gaze turned colder as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, I don't know how you destroyed my brother's innate spiritual root, but it's no longer important. You'll definitely die today. He charged toward Duan Lingtian like an arrow as soon as he finished speaking. The force from the 100 Inscriptions Spirit Saber was far superior compared to his earlier strike. Duan Lingtian destroyed Ji Yuchun's innate spiritual root. Ji Yulong's words shocked everyone. Based on what they knew, Duan Lingtian did not destroy Ji Yuchun's innate spiritual root. This matter had been solved when Ji Yuchun and Lian came looking for an answer from Duan Lingtian a month ago. Chapter 1925. The crowd did not have time to think as they watched Ji Yulong charge toward Duan Lingtian like a bolt of lightning. Ji Yulong's a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Many disciples from the Black Turtle Sanctum were able to tell Ji Yulong's cultivation base. The peak of the exemplary saint stage. Duan Lingtian seems to only be at the early exemplary saint stage. Although he has mastered extraordinary divine abilities, how can his strength compare to a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage? If the elders don't intervene, Duan Lingtian will surely die. With Ji Yulong's strength, it would be very easy for him to kill Duan Lingtian quickly. Even if the elders rush over, I'm afraid they won't be able to arrive in time. Duan Lingtian's going to die in vain. Ji Yulong has a blue innate spiritual root. Even if he violates the sect's rules, he won't be seriously punished. Of course, there are less than 100 geniuses in the fire worship sect who have blue innate spiritual roots. Someone like that is obviously worth nurturing. How can they kill him for the sake of a disciple who only has a yellow innate spiritual root? As the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves, they looked at Duan Lingtian with a hint of pity in their eyes. Swish. Perhaps, Ji Yulong was afraid the elders would rush over and stop him, so he instantly consolidated his territory. A territory consolidated from saint energy was naturally superior to a territory consolidated from true origin. A piercing aura appeared the moment Ji Yulong's territory was consolidated. Upon closer inspection, one would be able to see various images in his territory. There were various images of sabers in the territory. Some were stuck on the ground and some were floating in the air. There were long and short sabers. Some of them were new and some of them were old. It looked like a mountain of sabers. This was Ji Yulong's 1,000 sabers territory. This territory is slightly similar to my 10,000 swords territory. I'm 100% certain now that Ji Yulong is only a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. The sun saint energy in Duan Lingtian's body began to circulate as he prepared to cast the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, when he saw Ji Yulong charging at him. If Duan Lingtian did not use the elementary devouring tactic, he was not Ji Yulong's match at all. After all, his current cultivation base was only at the early divine saint stage. Even if the sun saint energy was extraordinary, his strength was only equivalent to an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. Compared to Ji Yulong, who was at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he was indeed inferior. The gap between him and Ji Yulong could only be filled by the elementary devouring tactic. However, I must end this quickly. If those Black Turtle Sanctum's elders come here, I won't be able to kill him. I must kill him before the elders arrive. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, he immediately cast the elementary devouring tactic using the sun saint energy. At once, the air around Duan Lingtian began to stir as whirlpools began to appear. The force from the whirlpools was extremely strong. To be more precise, it was the force of the elementary devouring tactic. The moment he cast the elementary devouring tactic, the heaven and earth spirit energy around him surged into his body at a ridiculously fast speed. This is the divine ability you used to overpower my brother. You'll find out soon enough that it's futile to struggle when faced with my strength. Ji Yulong only smiled disdainfully when he saw Duan Lingtian casting the elementary devouring tactic. Duan Lingtian was just an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. On the other hand, he was a powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Leaving aside the fact that the divine ability Duan Lingtian mastered might not even be a high-grade divine ability, even if it was, it would still be useless when faced with a stronger opponent. After all, even high-grade divine abilities relied on its user's strength. If the user was weak, the power of the divine ability would naturally be weak as well. For this reason, Ji Yulong did not fear the elementary devouring tactic that Duan Lingtian had cast. Duan Lingtian, remember this when you're in the other world. The person who kills you is me, Ji Yulong. Ji Yulong said loudly under the watchful eyes of the others as he unleashed the saint energy in his body without any reservation. His speed instantly increased. At the same time, the 100 inscription spirit saber in his hand had also transformed into a light that moved around him in an orderly manner. The speed of the light turned faster as time passed. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Upon closer inspection, one would be able to see that whenever the 100 inscription spirit saber moved around Ji Yulong, the force of the saber would rise higher. In the end, the 100 inscription spirit saber was filled to the brim with explosive energy. This seems to be the divine ability, the 9 heaps spirit infusion. A Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple recognized the divine ability that Ji Yulong had cast. The 9 heaps spirit infusion. I've heard of it before. It's a medium-grade divine ability. However, it's said that this medium-grade divine ability could be considered as the top medium-grade divine abilities. It's almost as powerful as a high-grade divine ability. Ji Yulong has almost fully mastered the 9 heaps spirit infusion. He has already reached the 8th heap stage. His innate talent is high and so is his comprehension ability. He's really a rare genius. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples praised Ji Yulong. The 9 heap spirit infusion was a medium-grade divine ability that infused 9 layers of energy into a saint weapon. Currently, one could see that Ji Yulong's 100 inscription spirit saber had 8 layers of energy on it. It was none other than the 8 heaps energies. It was only a step away from the 9 heaps energies. A powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary saint stage cast the 9 spirit infusion to deal with an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. It seems like Ji Yulong's worried the elders will intervene, and he wants to kill Duan Lingtian as fast as he can. Although the divine ability that Duan Lingtian cast is extraordinary and hard to understand, his cultivation base is too low. Even if it's a high-grade divine ability, he's not a match for Ji Yulong. That's right, his cultivation base is only at the early exemplary saint stage. Nobody thought highly of Duan Lingtian. All of them were certain he was going to die. However, based on their words, they seemed to think Duan Lingtian was an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. What would their expressions be like if they knew Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was only at the early divine saint stage? They were unaware that the divine ability Duan Lingtian had cast was not just a high-grade divine ability. It could be considered as a heaven-defying high-grade divine ability. The elementary devouring tactic devoured all types of energies in one's surroundings in a short time. Although Duan Lingtian had not mastered the elementary devouring tactic as well as the old man he encountered in the divine ability relic, he was close to reaching the old man's level. Currently, with his sun saint energy that was equivalent to an early exemplary saint stage powerhouse's saint energy, he could raise his strength to the mastery exemplary saint stage after he devoured the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings. That was merely a step away from Ji Yulong, who was at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. What a powerful energy! As Ji Yulong drew closer to Duan Lingtian finally finished absorbing the heaven and earth spirit energy in his surroundings and raised the force of his sun saint energy to the mastery exemplary saint stage. Currently, Duan Lingtian felt as though he was going to explode from the energy in his body. This was his first time experiencing such power. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were shocked when they sensed the change in the aura that was surging out of Duan Lingtian's body. This saint energy feels like it belongs to someone at the mastery exemplary saint stage, right? It doesn't seem like the saint energy of someone at the mastery exemplary saint stage, but its strength is certainly similar. My goodness, what divine ability did Duan Lingtian cast that can raise his strength 2 levels higher? The divine ability he cast must be an assist-type divine ability. It's slightly similar to the assist-type divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum that's derived from the Dragon Clan's inherited divine ability, the true form Berserkification. I think it won't last long, and there'll be a huge aftereffect. This rise in strength won't last long. After a while, not only will he return to normal, but he would be in a weakened state as well. Many people could tell Duan Lingtian had cast an assist-type divine ability that could raise one's strength in a short time. It seems like his divine ability is somewhat similar to the divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum. Due to the reason that the assist-type divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum had a great aftereffect, all the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples unanimously concluded that Duan Lingtian's divine ability would have a great aftereffect as well. Assist-type divine ability that can raise his strength to the mastery exemplary saint stage in a short time. Ji Yulong had a disdainful expression on his face. So what if Duan Lingtian had raised his strength to the mastery exemplary saint stage? He was a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Die! Ji Yulong snarled loudly. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples with lower cultivation base felt as though their eardrums were going to burst. Meanwhile, the thousands of sabers in Ji Yulong's territory flew toward Duan Lingtian along with his 100 inscription spirit saber that had been strengthened by the divine ability, the 9 spirit infusion. It was like a shower of sabers, only it did not fall vertically. It moved horizontally instead. Other than Ji Yulong's 100 inscription spirit saber and the thousands of sabers in his territory, his 100 inscription spirit saber also released a saber ray. This was none other than the saber-type martial tactic that Ji Yulong had mastered. Chapter 1926. Die! As Ji Yulong shouted loudly, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene held their breath unconsciously as they watched the scene in front quietly. There stood a lonely young man at the place where the saber rain was headed. His silhouette appeared to be so fragile, as though he would collapse anytime soon. Golden Crow's wings. Seeing how the saber rain was charging towards him in an exceedingly fast speed, vigilance rose in Duan Lingtian's heart. At the same time, he muttered to himself. At once, the Sun Saint energy that was strengthened by his elementary devouring tactic transformed into a pair of ultimately huge wings. They were much larger than the wings that he had launched previously. Not only that, the scorching flame on them was burning even more torridly. The most ridiculous thing took place next. as the pair of enormous wings that was burning with scorching flame flapped at either sides abruptly, right away. Boom, 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 comma. At that instant, the air by the surrounding was constricted to the extreme point. As the air clashed onto each other, it set off a series of thunderous loud sound that was deafening to the ear. At the same time, under the gaze of the others, Duan Lingtian's body flew out to the distant in a speed that was even faster than the saber rain, easily dodging away from all of the techniques that Ji Yulong unleashed with all his might and caused the saber rain transformed from Ji Yulong's entire might to fall through. The saber rain fell through, but its force did not decrease as it continued to swept out to the distant. Hundreds of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were standing at that direction. At that instant when Ji Yulong made his move, these Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were already horrified and immediately fled away. However, due to the reason that Duan Lingtian had dodged the saber rain and did not block it, it had swept out towards them earlier than they had thought. Swish, 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 comma. At the place where the saber rain swept across, more than 10 Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whose cultivation base was slightly weaker could not dodge in time and were all killed by the saber rain. Bloody rain fell blotting the sky. It was a startling and ghastly sight. Gasp, 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 comma. Upon seeing this, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene could not help but gasp. Many of them even counted themselves lucky for not standing right there from the beginning. It's a good thing I've moved from there to here since just now. Otherwise, I'd have died too. Some of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whose cultivation base was weaker counted themselves lucky in their hearts. Impossible. The next moment, a voice that was in disbelief resonated loudly. That was Ji Yulong's voice. Right now, Ji Yulong stared at Duan Lingtian, who easily dodged his attack and was standing far away before focusing his gaze onto the pair of wings behind Duan Lingtian. His face was extremely grave, high-grade movement divine ability. If he still could not tell that Duan Lingtian had casted a very powerful high-grade movement divine ability now, his life would have been in vain already. Gasp, 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 comma. When all of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples shifted their gaze onto Duan Lingtian too, another round of gasping sound reverberated in the air. Before this, they gasped for the over 10 Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who died in Ji Yulong's hands. Right now, they were astounded by the moment divine ability that Duan Lingtian casted. What a horrifying movement divine ability. He dodged Ji Yulong's mighty strike easily by casting a movement divine ability using a force that is equivalent to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage. This movement divine ability that Duan Lingtian casted is 100% a high-grade movement divine ability. Not only that, he must have fully mastered this high-grade movement divine ability already, or otherwise, it would have been impossible for his speed to be this fast. I think this high-grade movement divine ability should not be inferior to that divine ability in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. That pair of wings that are burning with scorching flame look like real wings. The wings transformed by the movement divine ability of the Vermilion Bird Sanctum are just like a pheasant's wings in front of them. That's right, just from the appearance, the pair of wings behind Duan Lingtian already look more powerful than the wings transformed by the moment divine ability of the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. This movement divine ability could even be more high grade than the divine ability in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. Comma. One by one, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples snapped back into reality. All of them were astounded by the high-grade divine ability Golden Crow's wings that Duan Lingtian casted. This was because the Golden Crow's wings speed was just too fast. With the help of this high-grade movement divine ability, Duan Lingtian's speed is already faster than Ji Yulong already. He is already at an undefeated stage in this battle already. At an undefeated stage? Are you dreaming? Don't forget that the reason Duan Lingtian is able to possess such force that is equivalent to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage Saint energy is all because he has casted an assistive divine ability that is similar to that Azure Dragon Sanctum's divine ability. Such a divine ability would not be able to last long and would cause the energy in his body to return to its normal state very soon. If I were him, I'd definitely run away with my current speed and get far away from Ji Yulong. Right now, it's completely impossible for Ji Yulong to chase up to him. If he wants to live, he has no other option but do this. Comma. Very soon, the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples unanimously agreed that Duan Lingtian would rely on his high-grade movement divine ability to flee and get far away from Ji Yulong next. Ji Yulong had also realized this, causing his face to turn grave right away. If this was the case, he would not be able to kill Duan Lingtian today. How could this happen? Somehow, Ji Yu-chun, who was hovering in the sky in the distance, had a very grave expression on. Unwillingness filled his eyes completely. To think that he actually masters a high-grade movement divine ability. He's just an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator, so how is this possible? Ji Yu-chun continued to roar in his heart. As he roared till the end, jealousy filled his face. Don't tell me that we really won't be able to kill him today. Ji Yu-chun was very unsatisfied. Run away. Naturally, Duan Lingtian had also heard the whispers of the group of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. He just scoffed at this. Did he, Duan Lingtian, need to run away? Even if his current prowess could not last for too long, he still had the confidence in getting rid of Ji Yulong in a short period of time. The blue spiritual root is mine. As Duan Lingtian looked at Ji Yulong, greediness rose in his eyes. To him, Ji Yulong's blue innate talent spiritual root would be able to bring a whole new transformation to him. Boom, 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 comma. As a series of air detonation sound took place, Duan Lingtian, whom everybody thought would run away, did not flee, but instead, he pounced towards Ji Yulong in an exceedingly rapid speed. He didn't run. Upon seeing this, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were all dumbfounded. Humph. He didn't even want to flee, though he has such a good opportunity. He's merely looking for his own death. Didn't you see how he has pounced towards Ji Yulong? The reason he didn't flee must be because he wants to kill Ji Yulong. Kill Ji Yulong? Him. Ji Yulong's current speed might not be able to be faster than his, but he merely wins in terms of speed. Unless he has boost from other high-grade offensive divine ability, his attack may not be able to break through Ji Yulong's defense. Even if the defensive divine ability that Ji Yulong masters is only a medium-grade defensive divine ability, Duan Lingtian may not be able to break through Ji Yulong's defense too, even if he masters a high-grade offensive divine ability. Comma. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples started to discuss again. All of them felt that Duan Lingtian was merely looking for his own death by staying behind. After all, his prowess would return to its original state after a while more. By that time, even if he had a high-grade movement divine ability as his reliance, he would still end up being the meat on Ji Yulong's chopper board and would just be slaughtered by Ji Yulong. He didn't flee. Don't tell me that he has even mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability. Seeing how Duan Lingtian was charging towards him, Ji Yulong's face turned grave right away. He did not master any defensive divine ability. If Duan Lingtian really had mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability, then he might went for wool and came back shorn. He might be killed by Duan Lingtian instead. Impossible. With his cultivation base and that low innate talent of his, it's already super lucky of him to be able to succeed in comprehending a high-grade movement divine ability. Not only that, the assistive divine ability that he casted previously is most likely a high-grade divine ability too. If it's really so, it's already impossible for him to comprehend a third high-grade divine ability. The moment Ji Yulong thought of this, he breathed a sigh of relief. I'll just play defense for a little. As long as the effect of his assistive divine ability is gone, it'd be as easy as killing an ant for me to kill him. The moment Ji Yulong thought of this, his confidence was greatly boosted. Very soon, Duan Lingtian came near to Ji Yulong's proximity. Ji Yulong did not stay idle too. Even though he knew that his attack could not touch Duan Lingtian, he still launched his attack one after another. Of course, all of his attacks was easily dodged by Duan Lingtian. Right now, Duan Lingtian's prowess was equivalent to the mastery exemplary saint stage saint energy. When such a prowess was used to cast the divine ability Golden Crow's Wings, his speed was even equivalent to an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Right now, nobody would object to if his speed was set as the fastest speed below the quintessential saint stage. This was because it was indeed very swift. It was a speed that overpowered all powerhouses at the peak of the exemplary saint stage completely. Swish, 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 comma. As Duan Lingtian dodged Ji Yulong's attack, he also launched his attacks in a succession. The instant he made his attack, he immediately launched the sword technique of the profoundness of the Sovereign Hard Sword's second stage. It could even be mentioned in the same breath with an ordinary heaven-rank primitive saint-grade martial tactic. However, the sword technique at this stage was not worth mentioning at all in front of Ji Yulong. Ji Yulong's defensive tactic was at the heaven-rank mediocre saint-grade martial tactic. Even though he had not cultivated it to the highest stage, the impeccable stage, due to the reason that it was supported by the saint energy that was at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, it was not something that could be sliced through by the sword technique casted by Duan Lingtian now. Upon seeing this, the dread in Ji Yulong's heart disappeared without a trace and was replaced with excitement instead. A while more and the effect of the assistive divine ability that Duan Lingtian casted would then disappear. By that time, he would be able to kill Duan Lingtian easily. This Duan Lingtian is just seeking for his own death. In the distant, a merciless smile crept upon Ji Yuchun's face. Let's end this game. Just as everybody present on the scene knew that Duan Lingtian would not be able to kill Ji Yulong, Duan Lingtian opened his mouth nonchalantly and said with a voice that was loud enough for Ji Yulong to hear. It was mentioned casually, but it was like a thunder when it entered Ji Yulong's ears, causing horror to dawn on his face. He has concealed his prowess. A thought formed in his mind abruptly. The next instant, he could see that in the 100-meter radius around Duan Lingtian, the sky vibrated as a dazzling golden territory started to consolidate. As it blocked everybody else's vision, it enveloped him inside too. With just this territory, as Duan Lingtian's 10,000 sword territory consolidated into form, the terror in Ji Yulong's heart vanished without a trace and was replaced with disdain instead. Chapter 1927. When Duan Lingtian's 10,000 swords territory appeared, Ji Yulong discovered something. Although Duan Lingtian's territory was more powerful than his, due to his strength that was only at the mastery exemplary saint stage, it was evenly matched with his 1,000 sabers territory. Do you think that you can breach my defense by consolidating your territory? How naive. Ji Yulong looked at Duan Lingtian disdainfully. Ji Yulong was confident Duan Lingtian would not be able to breach his defense even though he had consolidated his territory. I don't plan on using my territory against you, Duan Lingtian said indifferently to Ji Yulong. He relaxed once he saw the 10,000 swords territory had blocked everyone's sights. When Ji Yulong heard his words, he felt as though he had been struck by lightning. A hint of fear appeared in his eyes. Stop trying to act strong. Ji Yulong shouted as he suppressed the fear that had suddenly appeared in his heart. Acting strong. When Duan Lingtian heard his words, he merely shook his head and smiled. This caused the fear in Ji Yulong's heart to intensify. Out of humiliation, he flew into a rage and attacked Duan Lingtian again. Otherworldly celestial, Duan Lingtian muttered under his breath as he soared up into the sky. With his speed, he soon disappeared from Ji Yulong's sight. It seemed as though he had vanished into thin air. Ji Yulong was baffled when he saw this. He did not know what Duan Lingtian was trying to do. As Duan Lingtian soared up into the sky, the 10,000 swords territory followed in his wake. When he disappeared into the horizon, the 10,000 swords territory vanished as well. Ji Yulong's figure instantly appeared before everyone's eyes again. Duan Lingtian seems to have flown up into the sky. Don't tell me the effect of the assist-type divine ability he had cast is going to disappear soon. It's possible. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene fell silent for a moment before they began to discuss among themselves again. The effect of the assist-type divine ability is going to vanish soon. Ji Yulong, who was originally on tenterhooks, was hit with a pang of realization when he heard the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' words. It seems like he really was just acting strong earlier. Damn it, to think I was momentarily frightened by him. When Ji Yulong recalled how he was momentarily frightened, he flew into a rage again out of humiliation. In the next moment, he stomped both his feet and soared up into the air like an arrow that had been shot. Duan Lingtian, your speed might be faster than mine now. However, once the effect of your assist-type divine ability is gone, what are you going to use to fight me? You're going to die. Ji Yulong was delighted as he flew up into the air. If one did not know better, one would think he had already killed Duan Lingtian. Swish, swish, swish. However, at the instant when Ji Yulong flew up into the air, a cacophonous sound of swords whistling rang in the air. At the moment when the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples heard the noise, an enormous golden light shield with a 100-meter radius had enveloped Ji Yulong. Stop! A loud voice filled with anger reverberated in the air before the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples could even figure out what was going on. It seemed like the owner of the voice was still a distance away. A Black Turtle Sanctum's elder. Duan Lingtian's expression turned grave as he stood in the 10,000 swords territory. He instantly called out to Elder Huo, "Elder Huo, help me devour his innate spiritual root." 10,000 golden swords had gathered in front of Duan Lingtian and formed a platform that held Ji Yulong's body. To be more precise, it was holding Ji Yulong's corpse. Ji Yulong's eyes were wide open as he died with a belly full of regrets. The 3 vital points on his body were pierced, and blood was flowing out continuously. These were the marks left behind by the high-grade offensive divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, that Duan Lingtian had cast. Currently, Duan Lingtian could only produce 2 clones when he cast the otherworldly celestial. Even then, with the combination of the otherworldly celestial and the profundity of the second stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword, Duan Lingtian had easily breached Ji Yulong's defense and killed him before he even realized what was going on. The entire process went smoothly. Unfortunately, due to the 10,000 swords territory, none of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples saw the final and critical scene when Ji Yulong was killed by Duan Lingtian's 3 swords in just a blink of an eye. He has a blue innate spiritual root. When Duan Lingtian called out to Elder Huo, he had already extended his divine consciousness and probed Ji Yulong's soul, trying to locate his innate spiritual root. Elder Huo rarely paid attention to the situation outside, so he had only just found out that Ji Yulong possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Elder Huo, please guide my divine consciousness to locate his innate spiritual root. I want to devour it before the Black Turtle Sanctum's elder arrives. He's dead, so his soul is going to vanish soon. When that happens, his innate spiritual root is going to disappear as well. This is my last chance to devour his innate spiritual root. Duan Lingtian urged Elder Huo as his divine consciousness entered Ji Yulong's soul. As he was urging Elder Huo, he had already placed his hand on top of Ji Yulong's head and cast the elementary devouring tactic. He was ready to make his move. Alright, Elder Huo did not dally when he sensed how anxious Duan Lingtian was. He quickly used his divine consciousness to guide Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness to locate Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root. His innate spiritual root is a grade higher than the innate spiritual root you devoured previously. The energy is far richer, so it should be easier for you to detect its presence. I found it. As soon as Elder Huo finished speaking, Duan Lingtian found Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root. Just like Elder Huo had said, because Ji Yulong possessed a blue innate spiritual root, its presence was stronger than Ji Yuchun's green innate spiritual root that Duan Lingtian had previously devoured. After Duan Lingtian's divine consciousness locked onto Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root, it was easy for him to devour it without any further help from Elder Huo. As the saying went, unfamiliar at first, skillful later. This was Duan Lingtian's second time devouring an innate spiritual root. It was much easier this time around. He controlled the devouring energy and devoured Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root as he fused it with his own innate spiritual root. I can't believe that despite how fast I was, the energy from Ji Yulong's innate spiritual root still leaked a lot. Duan Lingtian sighed. He could clearly sense the changes in his innate spiritual root. His speed of sensing the heaven and earth spirit energy was several times faster than before. Your innate spiritual root has changed from dark yellow to dark green. Elder Huo's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. Just as I expected, Duan Lingtian was not surprised by this outcome. No matter what, Ji Yulong possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Even if Duan Lingtian could not absorb all the energy, it was still easy for it to turn his yellow innate spiritual root green. Stop it! The loud voice rang in the air again, causing Duan Lingtian to regain his senses. He instantly withdrew his 10,000 swords territory. As soon as he withdrew his 10,000 swords territory, he saw 2 old figures making their way over to the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. One flew in front, while the other followed from behind. Based on the robes they wore, it was obvious they were the Black Turtle Sanctum's Silver Flame Elders. Duan Lingtian was familiar with one of them. Under normal circumstances, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene would have bowed to pay respect to these 2 men. However, currently, their eyes were trained on the distant sky. As the territory that was like a golden light shield disappeared, a young man hovered in the air, unharmed. Not far away, a corpse fell from the sky and crashed heavily on the ground with a loud noise. Thud! This noise shocked the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. When they regained their senses, all of them had an expression of disbelief on their faces. How's this possible? Ji Yulong is dead. He's a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. A martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage is killed by an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. Can anybody tell me what the hell happened? I'm not dreaming, right? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene fell silent before they burst into an uproar. Lord, what did they just witness? A genius martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage with a blue innate spiritual root was killed by an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator who only possessed a yellow spiritual root. If they did not witness this with their own eyes, they would not have believed this even if they were beaten to death. Brother, as a sorrow-filled shout reverberated in the air, Ji Yu-chun's face turned pale as he looked at Ji Yu-long's body. He did not expect the cousin whom he regarded as his life savior would be killed by the person he hated the most. How's this possible? Impossible, Ji Yu-chun continued shaking his head as he looked at Ji Yu-long's body. He had an expression of disbelief on his face as he muttered, "You're not my brother. You're not my brother. My brother is not this useless. My brother is not this useless. He's your cousin that had a blue innate spiritual root," an old figure asked in a deep voice as he appeared next to Ji Yu-chun and looked at Ji Yu-long's body as well. This made Ji Yu-chun regain his senses immediately. Master. Ji Yu-chun instantly kneeled down and lowered his head as he said sadly, "My cousin has no fate with you, Master." Chapter 1928. The old man who appeared next to Ji Yu-chun was none other than First Silver Flame Elder Lian from the Black Turtle Sanctum. He was also Ji Yu-chun's master. He had only accepted Ji Yu-chun as his disciple because Ji Yu-chun had promised him that his cousin who had a blue innate spiritual root would become his disciple as well. Earlier, when Lian received the report from a Bronze Flame Elder that Ji Yu-chun's cousin had arrived at the Black Turtle Sanctum in the Fire Worship sect, he was beside himself with joy. He had planned to ask Ji Yu-chun's cousin over to his place to formally accept him as a disciple. Who would have thought he would receive shocking news before he even met him? Ji Yu-long, Ji Yu-chun's cousin, disregarded the Fire Worship sect's rules and attacked Duan Lingtian with the intention of killing him in the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Although Lian was shocked when he heard this news, he was not worried at all. Ji Yu-long was a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root. Even if he killed Duan Lingtian in the Fire Worship sect, he would just be given a slap on the wrist as punishment. Duan Lingtian was merely a commoner who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. How could he compare to Ji Yu-long? Although Lian also possessed a blue innate spiritual root, he could not directly make a move on Duan Lingtian like Ji Yu-long did since he was a Silver Flame Elder. If he had acted out of turn, it would tarnish the reputation of the Fire Worship sect. He would not be able to clear the reputation of the sect even if he paid for it with his life. For this reason, he did not recklessly make a move on Duan Lingtian. Otherwise, he would have killed him a long time ago. Although Lian was not worried about Ji Yu-long, he had personally come over just in case. With him around, the other Silver Flame Elder who was also the Black Turtle Sanctum's Enforcement Elder would naturally be more careful and treat Ji Yu-long nicely even if he had killed Duan Lingtian. From the beginning until the end, he did not doubt Ji Yu-long's ability to kill Duan Lingtian. Ji Yu-chun had long told him that Ji Yu-long was a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Would it not be easy for him to kill an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator? Dead, he's actually dead. Lian did not expect that he would see the corpse of Ji Yu-long who was going to be his disciple instead of Duan Lingtian's corpse when he came to the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Ji Yu-long was a martial genius who possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Due to this reason, Ji Yu-long was much more important to him than Ji Yu-chun even though he had not met Ji Yu-long before. It was only natural he was furious when he found out a disciple with a blue innate spiritual root had been killed. Duan Lingtian, how dare you kill a fellow disciple from the same sect? Lian snarled as he looked at Duan Lingtian who was hovering in the distant sky coldly. At this moment, he really wanted to tear Duan Lingtian apart. However, he knew he could not act as he pleased. Duan Lingtian was currently a disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum in the Fire Worship sect. Although there was no doubt he was guilty of killing a fellow disciple, only the Fire Worship sect's Enforcement Elder could punish him. Despite being the first Silver Flame Elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum, Lian did not have the authority to punish him. However, this did not mean he could not push the blame to Duan Lingtian. Killing a fellow disciple. Upon hearing Lian's words, Duan Lingtian fell silent before he laughed as though he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. Why are you laughing? Lian's expression was grave, and his eyes glinted with killing intent. I'm laughing at a certain person who lies despite being a Silver Flame Elder. Duan Lingtian said mockingly after he stopped laughing. He looked at Lian indifferently. You. Naturally, Lian knew Duan Lingtian was referring to him. However, since Duan Lingtian did not mention his name, there was nothing he could do regardless of how furious he was. If Duan Lingtian had mentioned his name, he could accuse him of disrespecting a Silver Flame Elder and teach him a lesson. Even if he could not kill Duan Lingtian, he could at least vent his anger. Duan Lingtian seemed to be able to guess his thoughts and did not give him a chance to retaliate at all. Duan Lingtian looked at the other Silver Flame Elder standing in the distance before he said in a neither arrogant nor servile tone, "All of the senior brothers and senior sisters present here can be witnesses to what happened today. I killed Ji Yulong because he attacked me with the intention of killing me first. According to the sect's rules, I'm not guilty of killing him under such circumstances. However, I've always been a merciful person. Even if he wanted to kill me, I did not intend to kill him. It was only when he involved innocent people and killed more than 10 seniors that I became furious and killed him. It's my way of seeking revenge for my seniors," Duan Lingtian said righteously. He killed more than 10 fellow disciples. The expression of the Silver Flame Elder who came together with Lian to the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples turned grave immediately when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. In the next instant, he looked at Ji Yulong's body that was lying on the ground with a terrifying glint in his eyes as though he wanted to flog his body. "Elder Guo, don't listen to his lies," Lian shouted at this moment. The Silver Flame Elder who appeared together at the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples was none other than Silver Flame Elder Guo Shang, who was in charge of enforcing punishment in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Other than being an enforcement elder in the Black Turtle Sanctum, Guo Shang was also the second strongest Silver Flame Elder in the Sanctum. However, due to his identity as an enforcement elder, Lian was wary of him as well. Apart from that, if they really fought, Lian would have to pay a steep price as well even if he managed to defeat Guo Shang. "Do you think I'm a muddle-headed old man, Elder Lian? There are so many people present on the scene, I can naturally find out for myself if he is lying or not." Guo Shang said. He looked at Lian coldly. Put everything else aside, Guo Shang managed to become the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder because nobody doubted his fairness. He, enforcement elder Guo Shang, had always acted based on evidence and would never wrongly accuse an innocent person. At the same time, he would not let go of someone who was guilty as well. His expression turned grim immediately when he learned about what happened from the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. More than 10 Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had died just like that. If this news spread out, what would happen to his honor as the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder? Finally, Guo Shang, the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, finally came to a decision. Ji Yulong made a move to kill a fellow disciple first. In the process, he even brutally killed 17 fellow disciples. His crimes deserve more than death itself. Duan Lingtian had acted in self-defense, and therefore, is found not guilty of killing Ji Yulong. In view of Duan Lingtian killing Ji Yulong to prevent him from killing more people, not only is he not guilty, but he deserves to be rewarded as well. In the Black Turtle Sanctum and the Fire Worship sect, we have always placed an emphasis on rewarding those who deserve it and punishing those who are guilty. As for Duan Lingtian's reward, I'll inform Lord Sanctum Leader about this so he can make a decision. Ji Yuchun's verdict was simple. Ji Yulong's crime deserved more than death while Duan Lingtian deserved to be rewarded. Upon hearing Guo Shang's verdict, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene instinctively looked at Duan Lingtian with admiration in their eyes. A reward from Lord Sanctum Leader would not be simple. Although Lian was dissatisfied with Guo Shang's decision, he could not object at all. He could only sulk in the distance. "Elder Guo, I'm not satisfied with this verdict," Ji Yuchun said in a vexed tone as he stood up. "My brother didn't intend to kill the disciples in the sect. He accidentally killed them while he fought Duan Lingtian. Even if Duan Lingtian did not kill him, he wouldn't have killed more people. I agree with you that my brother's crime deserves more than death. However, I disagree that Duan Lingtian deserves to be rewarded." Although Ji Yuchun knew Duan Lingtian would not be punished for his actions, when he heard that Duan Lingtian would be rewarded by the Sanctum Leader, he was filled with jealousy. For this reason, he quickly voiced his dissatisfaction in hopes that Elder Guo would rescind the reward that would be given to Duan Lingtian. "Oh, I would have forgotten about you if you didn't speak up." Guo Shang turned to look at Ji Yuchun with a cold gleam in his eyes when he heard Ji Yuchun speaking. "Elder Guo, what do you mean? I don't think I've broken any of the sect's rules, right?" Horror dawned on Ji Yuchun immediately. Are you certain you didn't break any of the sect's rules? Guo Shang asked mockingly. Then, I'd like to ask you, why did Ji Yulong attack Duan Lingtian? Do you dare to swear on the lightning penalty oath that you didn't instigate Ji Yulong to attack Duan Lingtian? I won't make things difficult for you if you swear on the lightning penalty oath. Terror filled Ji Yuchun's eyes when he heard Guo Shang's words. In the next instant, he hurriedly looked at Lian, who was standing nearby, and transmitted his voice to him. Master, save me. However, Lian only looked at him indifferently before he left in just a blink of an eye. When he left, he said emotionlessly, Ji Yuchun has violated the sect's rules. From now on, he's no longer my disciple. With just this statement, he cut off the master-disciple relationship between him and Ji Yuchun. To Lian, Ji Yuchun no longer had any value now that Ji Yulong was gone. Since he was presented with an opportunity to dismiss Ji Yuchun, he naturally would not pass it up. No, master, you can't do this. You can't do this. Colors drained from Ji Yuchun's face when he heard this. He quickly chased after Lian. Humph. Guo Shang snorted coldly. Nobody saw him make a move, but Ji Yuchun, who was rushing forward, was sent flying with a blast. Chapter 1929. Ji Yuchun instigated Ji Yulong to kill Duan Lingtian and caused a great calamity that resulted in the deaths of 17 fellow disciples. Since he did not personally make a move, he'll be exempted from the death sentence, but he'll still be punished. Ji Yuchun will be expelled from the Black Turtle Sanctum and Fire Worship Sect. He's not allowed to ever join the Fire Worship Sect ever again. Guo Shang announced Ji Yuchun's punishment as he stopped him from chasing after Lian. Expelled from the Fire Worship Sect. Horror dawned on Ji Yuchun as an expression of despair appeared on his face when heard Guo Shang's verdict. After a while, as though he just remembered something, he turned to look at Duan Lingtian with a cold and hate-filled gaze. In his opinion, if it was not for Duan Lingtian, he would not have ended up in this state. Although his cultivation base would no longer be able to progress, he would not let this matter between him and Duan Lingtian go. He was not Duan Lingtian's match, so he would make his move on Duan Lingtian's companions. After he left the Fire Worship Sect, he would investigate Duan Lingtian's background. He did not think Duan Lingtian's family and friends are more powerful than him. Duan Lingtian frowned when he saw the look in Ji Yuchun's eyes. However, Ji Yuchun was as good as crippled now, so he was not worried about it. Even then, he felt slightly uneasy leaving someone who hated him so much alive. Perhaps, I'll follow him when he leaves the Black Turtle Sanctum and kill him to avoid future troubles. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself. However, he soon dismissed this idea. It's too dangerous. Lian might follow me and ambush me while I follow Ji Yuchun out. When Duan Lingtian looked at Ji Yuchun again, his eyes suddenly brightened as though he had just thought of something. Elder Guo, Duan Lingtian called out to Guo Shang. Huh. Guo Shang regained his senses when he heard Duan Lingtian calling him. He looked at him and asked, is there anything else? Elder Guo, since Ji Yuchun is no longer a disciple of the Black Turtle Sanctum and Fire Worship Sect, can I ask that you kill him as my reward? Is that okay? If that's okay, you won't have to trouble Lord Sanctum Leader about my reward, Elder Guo, Duan Lingtian said bluntly and told him what reward he wanted. To get rid of Ji Yuchun, Duan Lingtian was willing to let go of the reward from the Sanctum Leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Swoosh! Horror dawned on Ji Yuchun when he heard Duan Lingtian's request. Not even in his wildest dreams did he imagine that Duan Lingtian wanted to kill him so badly. To think he was even willing to give up the reward from the Sanctum Leader just to have him killed. Clamor. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples burst into an uproar again when they heard Duan Lingtian's request. Duan Lingtian is willing to give up the reward from Lord Sanctum Leader in order to kill Ji Yuchun. Is he crazy? With his strength, he could just follow Ji Yuchun when he left the Fire Worship Sect and kill him. Does he need to give up the reward from Lord Sanctum Leader just to get Elder Guo to kill Ji Yuchun? Crazy. He's absolutely crazy. Most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples felt that Duan Lingtian was crazy for making such a decision. Naturally, there was a small number of people who could see the bigger picture. Due to the enmity between Duan Lingtian and Elder Lian, I don't think it's wise for him to follow Ji Yuchun out. If Elder Lian follows him out as well, he would definitely die. That's true. As long as Elder Lian gets rid of the evidence, nobody will know he's the one who killed Duan Lingtian. Apart from being careful, Duan Lingtian is really bold and wise for being able to think so far ahead. After all, not anyone could easily give up a reward from Lord Sanctum Leader. Put everything else aside, just this alone is enough for me to admire him. These Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who were more astute knew what was running through Duan Lingtian's mind. Guoshang naturally knew what Duan Lingtian was thinking. After he looked at Duan Lingtian for a moment, he asked, "Are you sure this is what you want and you're willing to give up the reward from Lord Sanctum Leader?" Yes. Duan Lingtian nodded his head confidently. The reward from the Black Turtle Sanctum's Sanctum Leader. To be honest, he really did not think the Sanctum Leader of Black Turtle Sanctum would give him anything of value. Perhaps, he would give him a divine ability. However, he did not need one for now. Martial tactic, he already had the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword. 100 inscriptions saint weapon. He already had one as well. As for pills and Dao talisman, there was nothing in particular that he wanted now. After taking all these into consideration, he decided to give up the reward from the Sanctum Leader of Black Turtle Sanctum in exchange for Ji Yuchun's life. Elder Guo, you can't do this. Why you can't? Why you? Ji Yuchun was horrified and terror and despair could be seen in his eyes when he saw Guoshang shifted his attention to him after Duan Lingtian nodded his head determinedly. His voice was suddenly cut off. Ji Yushang had lifted his hand and slapped them at Ji Yuchun, causing Ji Yuchun's body to explode with a thunderous noise. A shower of blood fell from the sky, fertilizing the ground below. How powerful! So this is the strength of a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. Duan Lingtian widened his eyes in shock when he saw this. All of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' expressions had turned grave as well. When they looked at Ji Yushang again, their eyes were filled with respect. After solving the problem and removing Ji Yulong's corpse, Guoshang left the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples in a flash. He left as quickly as he came. As soon as Guoshang left, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples shifted their attention back to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian finally had their full attention. Duan Lingtian has actually mastered a high-grade movement divine ability that's even more powerful than the divine ability in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. Although he only has a yellow innate spiritual root, his luck is really good. Not only did he encounter a high-grade movement divine ability, but he even successfully comprehended and mastered it. I feel so envious. He must have had a fortuitous encounter. Moreover, the assist-type divine ability he comprehended that can raise his strength 2 levels higher must also be a high-grade divine ability as well. An ordinary martial cultivator with a yellow innate spiritual root managed to successfully comprehend 2 high-grade divine abilities. This is really too heaven-defying. Although his luck is extremely good for being able to comprehend 2 high-grade divine abilities, he's still slightly lacking when it comes to innate talent. However, it doesn't mean he's weak. At the very least, he seems to show great aptitude in comprehending divine abilities. Since he's so good at comprehending divine abilities, I wonder if he'll be able to successfully comprehend the most precious divine ability in the Black Turtle Sanctum, the Black Turtle Barrier. That's unlikely. The Black Turtle's Barrier is the #1 defensive divine ability in the Fire Worship sect. Even among the current generation in the Fire Worship sect, there are less than 10 people who have successfully comprehended it. It's hard to say. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began to discuss among themselves again. Based on their discussion, they were more interested in the high-grade divine abilities Duan Lingtian had cast earlier. Due to the 10,000 Swords territory blocking their visions, they did not see the other high-grade divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial. Otherwise, they would be even more shocked. Although they did not see the high-grade offensive divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial, that Duan Lingtian cast, some people still remembered the sounds of sword whistling in the air that disappeared as soon as it appeared before Duan Lingtian killed Ji Yulong. I remember at the second before Ji Yulong died, I heard 3 sounds of sword whistling in the air. There are 3 holes on Ji Yulong's body. It must have been caused by the 3 swords. That must be a sword-type martial tactic that Duan Lingtian cast. However, based on the fact that he managed to breach Ji Yulong's defense, it's obvious that his sword-type martial tactic is outstanding as well. It's indeed not simple. Not only that, but it might even be a sword-type martial tactic that's a heaven-rank prominent saint-grade martial tactic. Moreover, he must have cultivated it to the highest stage. It's unfortunate that Duan Lingtian's territory blocked us from seeing an amazing scene. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples quickly shifted their discussion to the technique Duan Lingtian used to kill Ji Yulong. They became more excited the more they discussed this. It seemed like they were not tired at all. Duan Lingtian saw this and shook his head before he turned to return to his tedious house. However, when he turned around, he saw his tedious house had been destroyed. Ji Long. Duan Lingtian shook his head again and moved quickly to enter a nearby tedious house with its door wide open. He shut the door as soon as he entered the house, not bothering about the person who was originally staying here. If that person had any objection, he could always come to challenge him. If Duan Lingtian was defeated, he would give up this tedious house. The original owner of this tedious house was a mastery exemplary saint disciple in the Black Turtle Sanctum. He could only smile wryly when he saw Duan Lingtian entered his tedious house. However, he did not dare to do or say anything. It's a good thing that the tedious house that Ji Yu-chun formerly stayed in is empty, he muttered under his breath as his eyes landed on the tedious house Ji Yu-chun previously lived in. After Duan Lingtian entered the new tedious house, he immediately took out the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda and after asked Elder Huo's help to guard it. Then, he entered the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda to cultivate. He could not wait to test innate spiritual root that had transformed. According to Elder Huo, he currently has the green innate spiritual root. Moreover, it was a dark green innate spiritual root. I've roughly experienced the transformation of the innate spiritual root earlier. My speed and sense of absorbing the heaven and earth spirit energy is several times faster than before. According to this speed, I'd only need 3 months at most to break through to the intermediate divine saint stage. Naturally, 3 months referred to the time inside of the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. 3 months in there was equivalent to 10 days outside. Chapter 1930, Chapter 1931 Breakthrough, Intermediate Divine Saint Stage. A month ago, Duan Lingtian discovered the Black Turtle Sanctum's most treasured divine ability, the Black Turtle's barrier, was difficult to comprehend, so he no longer wasted his time in trying to comprehend it and began to focus his attention on raising his cultivation base instead. A month inside the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda was 300 days in the outside world. It was almost a year. During this time, Duan Lingtian relied on his green innate spiritual root that was previously yellow to cultivate from the early divine saint stage to the intermediate divine saint stage. He was almost halfway there. Based on previous his speed, it would take him about 1.5 years in the 4th level before he could break through. 1.5 years in the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda was only 50 days in the outside world. This progress was calculated when Duan Lingtian still had a yellow innate spiritual root. With the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, Duan Lingtian managed to devour Ji Yulong's blue innate spiritual root and transformed his yellow innate spiritual root green. Moreover, it had transformed into a dark green innate spiritual root. Inside the tedious house, a mysterious aura surged out of Duan Lingtian who had been immersed in his cultivation for a long time. He opened his voice and muttered under his breath, "It only took me 10 days. Currently, it seemed as though Duan Lingtian's bearing had changed slightly as well. He had finally made a breakthrough. It had only been 10 days outside, but it had already been 3 months inside the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. Duan Lingtian had successfully broken through to the intermediate divine saint stage in these 3 months. It's 5 times faster. If I didn't devour Ji Yulong's blue innate spiritual root, it would have been impossible for me to successfully break through in just 10 days in the outside world. Based on my previous calculations, it would have taken me 50 days in the outside world to break through with my original innate spiritual root," Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as an excited smile appeared on his face. The transformation of his innate spiritual root had quickly raised his cultivation speed. With my innate spiritual root and the help of the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda, even the cultivation speed of a genius with a blue innate spiritual root would be 2 times slower than me. Duan Lingtian became even more excited when he thought about this. However, despite how fast my current cultivation speed is, I'm still a lot slower compared to those monstrous geniuses who have indigo innate spiritual roots. Duan Lingtian felt as though he had been splashed with a bucket of cold water when he thought about those geniuses who possessed indigo innate spiritual root. He became solemn again when he thought about this. I'm certain Ka twin sister is a genius who possesses the indigo innate spiritual root. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for her to possess strength above the exemplary saint stage in her early 30s. Duan Lingtian was suddenly reminded of Kai Mei who had taken Ka away. At that time, even Di Ju who was at the peak of the divine saint stage had acted like a mouse in front of a cat when he was faced with her. Based on this, one could tell her cultivation base had to be at least at the exemplary saint stage or higher. With the help of my divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, I'll be able to improve my innate spiritual root and surpass her in the future. Duan Lingtian thought to himself confidently as his eyes flashed. As long as he could turn his innate spiritual root blue, with the help of the time flow on the 4th level of the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda, he might be able to catch up to the geniuses who have indigo innate spiritual root. He obviously meant geniuses who possessed light indigo innate spiritual root. After all, there were various grades when it came to innate spiritual roots. The ordinary geniuses who possessed the indigo spiritual roots mentioned here meant the ultimate geniuses who possessed a light indigo innate talent spiritual roots. Light indigo, ordinary indigo, and dark indigo. They were all completely different. Take Duan Lingtian for example, since he possessed a dark green innate spiritual root, he could be considered as standing at the peak among those who possessed green innate spiritual roots. Since I've already broken through to the intermediate divine saint stage, my sun saint energy should be comparable to that of an ordinary intermediate exemplary saint stage powerhouse. Currently, even without using the Jasper celestial sword, it's not impossible for me to defeat ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouses. Duan Lingtian thought to himself before he left the Tertius house. It's time for me to change my cultivation place. When Duan Lingtian walked out of the Tertius house, he raised his head and looked at the 100 islands suspended in the sky. On the 100 suspended islands, there was a house with a little courtyard. It was the Secundus house. Needless to say, the cultivation environment was a lot better compared to the Tertius house. There were 5 spirit gathering formations in a Secundus house. The intensity of the heaven and earth spirit energy inside was half of what was in the Primus house. 100 Secundus houses. It's said that most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who live in the Secundus houses are at the early quintessential saint stage. Some of them, on the other hand, are at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Duan Lingtian had been staying in the Black Turtle Sanctum for quite some time. He had naturally gained an understanding on the Primus houses, Secundus houses, Tertius house, and Quartus houses in the Black Turtle Sanctum. He also had some knowledge about the cultivation base of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples residing in the houses. I can't be so unlucky to pick a Secundus house whose owner is an intermediate quintessential saint stage disciple, right? Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he soared into the sky. It's Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian seems to be heading to the Secundus houses. What's he trying to do? Don't tell me he wants to challenge the seniors staying in the Secundus houses for the ownership of the house. In the Black Turtle Sanctum's residence, most people were cultivating in their rooms. However, there were a few of them who were standing outside talking about martial Dao and exchanging martial tactic as well. They instantly noticed Duan Lingtian when he walked out of the Tertius house and made his way up to the Secundus houses. They would not have paid any attention if it was just an ordinary Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple. However, Duan Lingtian was famous in the Black Turtle Sanctum. It was impossible for them not to pay any attention to him. As soon as Duan Lingtian entered the Black Turtle Sanctum, he had already caused a splash and became famous in the sanctum. This was because he was the first person who dared to provoke First Silver Flame Elder Lian in the Black Turtle Sanctum. He even killed the son of Lian's best friend in front of him. Not everyone would have the courage to do that. And yet, Duan Lingtian did exactly that. He did not hesitate to offend Lian at all. Then, about 10 days ago, Ji Yulong had domineeringly killed the new disciple, Ji Yulong. After that, his name began to spread again in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Apart from being a martial genius with a blue innate spiritual root, he was also a martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. Duan Lingtian was merely an average person who possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. Moreover, he was only an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. When the two of them were fighting, nobody thought Duan Lingtian would win. However, contrary to everyone's expectation, Duan Lingtian used 2 of his high-grade divine abilities to kill Ji Yulong. Ever since then, his fame had skyrocketed in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Initially, Duan Lingtian might have gained his fame because he was bold enough to offend Lian even though he was not very strong. However, he was famous now in the Black Turtle Sanctum because of his strength. The situations from back then and now were completely different. For example, currently, many of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had noticed Duan Lingtian and were looking at him with eyes that were filled with respect. His strength was something worth respecting after all. It seems like Duan Lingtian's really going to challenge one of the seniors for the ownership of a Secundus house. When the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples saw Duan Lingtian looking at the Secundus houses, they could easily guess Duan Lingtian's intention. I really admire senior brother Duan's strength. However, isn't it a little too early for him to try to challenge a senior for the ownership of a Secundus house with his current strength? A Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple could not help but ask. Indeed, despite his strength that he demonstrated 10 days ago, he's only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage at most. It's still quite far from the quintessential saint stage. The weakest seniors staying in the Secundus house are at the early quintessential saint stage. With senior brother Duan Lingtian's current strength, I'm afraid he won't be able to win. Since you're able to think of this, don't you think senior brother Duan Lingtian has also thought about this? If you ask me, I think senior brother Duan Lingtian is heading to the Secundus houses because he's confident he'll win. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves. Most of them felt Duan Lingtian was not strong enough to reside in a Secundus house, while a small number of them felt that he would be able to gain ownership of Secundus house since he was bold enough to head there. They only knew what Duan Lingtian's strength was like 10 days ago. They did not think he would get stronger in just 10 days. He could not have gotten very strong in just 10 days after all. Creak, the sound of a door opening suddenly attracted Duan Lingtian's attention. This was because it was the door to a Secundus house. The residents of the Black Turtle Sanctum had their own rules. When one wanted to fight for the ownership of a house, one was not allowed to challenge disciples who were in closed-door cultivation since it was considered rude and might disrupt the person's cultivation. One could only issue a challenge if a disciple was out of the house. Chapter 1931. The person who opened the door and walked out of the Secundus house was a middle-aged man with a huge build. There was a fierce look in his eyes. With just a look, one could tell this person did not have a good temper. It's senior brother Zhongji. Senior brother Zhongji is an elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage devil cultivators. Senior brother Duan Lingtian won't challenge him for the ownership of his Secundus house, right? I don't think so. As the middle-aged man walked out, before Duan Lingtian could open his mouth to issue a challenge, he had already heard the discussion of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Early quintessential saint stage. Duan Lingtian's eyes brightened immediately when he heard the words of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Initially, he had been worried he would encounter an intermediate quintessential saint stage disciple. It seemed like he was worried for nothing. He had waited for a while. Who knew the first Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who walked out of a Secundus house was actually an early quintessential saint stage devil cultivator? At this moment, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples finally realized Duan Lingtian really intended to challenge the man for the ownership of the Secundus house, and they began to rise up into the air and surround him. Since Duan Lingtian had heard the other disciples' words, it was only natural that Zhongji had heard them as well. Trying to snatch my Secundus house? Zhongji's expression turned grave immediately, and his eyes turned cold when he heard the disciples' discussion. He then shifted his attention to Duan Lingtian, who was staring at him before he asked coldly, "You're Duan Lingtian? You want to challenge me for my house?" Since Zhongji had been in closed-door cultivation for the past few months, he did know Duan Lingtian was famous in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Before Duan Lingtian had a chance to reply, hearty laughter rang in the air. "Zhongji, don't tell me you've never heard of junior brother Duan Lingtian." Another person walked out of a Secundus house nearby. It was this young man who had laughed. As soon as he walked out, he looked at Zhongji as though he was looking at a monster. "It's senior brother Zhongchu. I heard senior brother Zhongchu is not on good terms with senior brother Zhongji. It seems like the rumors are true. Don't tell me senior brother Zhongchu came out just to insult senior brother Zhongji. I heard that senior brother Zhongchu is a lot stronger than senior brother Zhongji. He already has one foot in the intermediate quintessential saint stage." When the young man walked out, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began to discuss among themselves, revealing his name and cultivation base. Zhongchu was a handsome young man with a complexion as clear as jade. His long hair was tied up with a hairband behind his head. He had a pair of long and narrow slanted eyes. Not only did he look handsome and dashing, but he looked seductive as well. At this moment, he was looking at Zhongji with a mocking expression on his face. Zhongji, on the other hand, was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance and a huge build. He looked like a pagoda as he stood there. Upon hearing Zhongchu's mocking laughter, Zhongji glared at him in hostility. "Humph, So what if I've never heard of Duan Lingtian, Zhang Chu? No matter who he is, he'll have to pay with his blood for coveting my house. When he finished speaking, he turned to look at Duan Lingtian with a terrifying look in his eyes. Boy, if you're sensible, you better don't even think about staying in my place. Otherwise, I'll beat you up so badly that even your parents would have a hard time recognizing you. Zhang Ji said. He was rude as soon as he spoke, directly threatening Duan Lingtian. Meanwhile, Zhang Chu no longer said anything and only looked at Duan Lingtian curiously. When Duan Lingtian had just entered the Black Turtle Sanctum, Zhang Chu had already heard of him. 10 days ago, he had also witnessed the battle between Duan Lingtian and Ji Yulong. He was truly amazed by the strength Duan Lingtian had demonstrated. At that time, he discovered that although Duan Lingtian was strong, his cultivation base was at the peak of the exemplary saint stage at the most. He had not reached the quintessential saint stage yet. After 10 days, something shocking happened. Duan Lingtian wanted to challenge someone for the ownership of a Secundus house. It seems like junior brother Duan Lingtian must have made some progress during these 10 days. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come to claim a Secundus house. I wonder how strong he is now. How exciting, Zhang Chu muttered to himself as he looked Duan Lingtian anticipatorily. Although he did not have any interactions with Duan Lingtian, he could tell Duan Lingtian was not someone reckless. Since he dared to come over here to claim a Secundus house, he must be confident he would succeed. You're going to beat me up so badly that even my parents would have a hard time recognizing me. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Zhang Ji's words. In the end, he smiled mockingly as he asked, "Are you so confident in your strength?" When Zhang Ji saw the mocking smile on Duan Lingtian's face, his expression turned grim as he said, "I don't like the way you smile. I've changed my mind. Unless you crawl between my legs and kowtow to me 3 times, I won't let you go even if you decide not to challenge me. I won't kill or maim you, but I'm going to let you experience the greatest pain that you're going to wish you're dead." When he reached the end of his sentence, his eyes glinted coldly. Zhang Ji was someone with a bad temper. He was already furious when Zhang Chu mocked him earlier. When he saw even Duan Lingtian was sneering at him, it completely infuriated him. Moreover, with so many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples watching, he naturally would not back down to protect his pride. "Zhang Ji, you've crossed the line." Zhang Chu frowned. He thought Zhang Ji had gone overboard. "Zhang Chu, stop meddling in this matter. I don't wish to fight you today." Zhang Ji's expression turned even grimmer when he heard Zhang Chu's words. He glanced at Zhang Chu coldly before he shifted his attention back to Duan Lingtian. "You," Zhang Chu's expression turned grave as his robes began to flutter. It seemed as though he was preparing to make his move. At this moment, Duan Lingtian said in an attempt to stop him, "Senior brother Zhang Chu, thank you for your kindness. I know that you and Zhang Ji are not on good terms, but I can deal with this." When Zhang Chu saw how calm Duan Lingtian was, he began to calm down as well. In the end, he nodded in assent. "Okay, I'll do this for your sake." After he finished speaking, he looked at Zhang Ji with a piercing gaze. "You're Zhang Ji, right?" Duan Lingtian shifted his attention from Zhang Chu to Zhang Ji. He was still calm but his exterior had turned icy. "If I want to challenge you for the ownership of the house, it's within the Black Turtle Sanctum's rules. There's no reason for you to maliciously provoke and humiliate me. You can't kill me, so you plan to make me wish that I'm better off dead." Duan Lingtian's voice was extremely cold that it felt as though the temperature in the surroundings had dropped by several degrees. Zhang Ji had suppressed his anger when he saw how Duan Lingtian and his rival, Zhang Chu, was getting along. Now that he heard Duan Lingtian's words, he could no longer suppress his anger. "I don't care if we have to abide by the rules in the Black Turtle Sanctum or not. I want to humiliate you, so what can you do about it? Since you dare to challenge me, then you should be prepared to be humiliated. How many people in the Black Turtle Sanctum don't know about my temper? I'll give you one last chance. Crawl in between my legs and kowtow to me 3 times, and I'll let this matter go. Otherwise, I won't let you go even if you decide not to challenge me. I'll slowly torture you until you wish you're dead." Zhang Ji's eyes glinted with a terrifying light as he spoke. If looks could kill, Duan Lingtian would have died many times. "Wow, you don't care about the rules in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Zhang Ji, if you want me to wish that I'm better off dead, we'll have to see if you have that ability or not." Duan Lingtian was also infuriated by Zhang Ji's words. His eyes gleamed terrifyingly when he looked at Zhang Ji as though he was looking at a dead man. Based on your words, you're going to challenge me then? Zhang Ji was so furious he burst out laughing when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Good. Very good. How brave of you. I gave you an opportunity to crawl between my legs and beg for forgiveness. Don't blame me for not showing you any mercy. As soon as he finished speaking, his robe began to flutter. His saint energy that belonged to an early quintessential saint stage devil cultivator began to surge out of his body terrifyingly. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian's gaze turned colder as he began to mobilize his sun saint energy through his 99 saint veins like a tempestuous storm. It has only been a short while, but senior brother Duan Lingtian and senior brother Zhang Ji's dispute has escalated to this extent. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were shocked when they regained their senses. They witnessed how Duan Lingtian and Zhang Ji went from strangers to enemies in less than 20 breaths. Senior brother Zhang Ji's temper is still the same as before. I'm afraid Duan Lingtian is going to suffer, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples remarked. Humph. On the contrary, I'm eager to see senior Duan Lingtian defeat senior Zhang Ji. I'd like to see what kind of expression senior brother Zhang Ji would have at that time, some of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples said instead. As they were speaking, anticipation could be seen on their faces. I think all of you are dreaming. Although Duan Lingtian is quite strong, he has not reached the stage where he can compare to senior brother Zhang Ji. He's destined to be defeated by senior brother Zhang Ji today. That's right, Duan Lingtian's just blinded by rage now. If he managed to stay calm, he wouldn't have challenged senior brother Zhang Ji. Most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples did not think that Duan Lingtian was a match for Zhang Ji. Chapter 1932. Although most of the disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum thought Duan Lingtian was quite strong since he was able to kill Ji Yulong, who was at the peak of the exemplary stage, they did not think he was stronger than Zhang Ji. Perhaps, Ji Yulong had a higher innate talent since he had a blue innate spiritual root. However, in terms of strength, Ji Yulong could not compare to Zhang Ji at all. No matter what, Ji Yulong's cultivation base was only at the peak of the exemplary saint stage. As an elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum, coupled with the fact that he's a devil cultivator who specialized in cultivating his body, his strength had surpassed more than 80% of the early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum. An elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum. A devil cultivator who specializes in cultivating his body. As the number of Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples increased, Duan Lingtian heard their words and gained a deeper understanding of Zhang Ji. He kept all their words in mind. As the saying went, one who knows his own strength and his enemy's strength is invincible in battle. Although Duan Lingtian had learned about Zhang Ji's strength, he did not feel fear at all. His expression remained calm. 10 days ago, even if he was faced with an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse, he would be able to come to a draw with the powerhouse if he transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior and unleashed all his techniques. However, there was a chance he might be defeated because the elementary devouring tactic depleted his spiritual energy quickly and the effect did not last long. However, he had made a breakthrough today, so it would not be difficult for him to defeat an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Even if Zhang Ji was an early quintessential saint stage devil cultivator, an elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum, Duan Lingtian was 80% confident he would be able to defeat him. He was not 100% confident because he did not know if Zhang Ji had mastered any high-grade divine abilities or not. If Zhang Ji had mastered a high-grade divine ability, it might be difficult for Duan Lingtian to defeat him. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene did not know that 10 days ago, when Duan Lingtian fought Ji Yulong, he did not use all his strength and techniques. He did not even transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. He did not transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior because he did not think it was necessary. He could defeat and kill Ji Yulong without the need to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. The result proved that he was right. I wonder if I can defeat Zhang Ji without the need to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he stood opposite Zhang Ji. He did not plan to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior as soon as he fought with Zhang Ji. In fact, he would not transform unless it was absolutely necessary. Being able to transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior was his trump card after all. It was only natural that he would not use it unless it was absolutely necessary. It was the best to conceal one's trump card and reveal it at the critical moment since it would yield a good result. He has already offended Elder Lee in the moment he entered the fire worship sect and the Black Turtle Sanctum. 10 days ago, he even killed a disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage who possessed a blue innate spiritual root by relying on his 2 high-grade divine abilities even though his cultivation base is only at the early exemplary saint stage. Zhang Ji had also learned about Duan Ling Tian from the discussion in his surroundings. He was shocked when he heard this. He did not expect this Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who wanted to challenge him for the ownership of his Secundus house was an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator. At the very least, he was an early exemplary saint stage martial cultivator 10 days ago. Due to the reason that he had heard Duan Ling Tian had killed a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, he did not dare to underestimate Duan Ling Tian. At the very least, Duan Ling Tian's strength could be considered to be at the top among powerhouses at the peak of the exemplary saint stage, especially after he cast his movement divine ability that was almost on par with an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. I can't believe that during the time I was in closed-door cultivation, a strong person like you would come to the Black Turtle Sanctum. I believe during these 10 days, you've broken through to the intermediate exemplary saint stage, right? Zhang Ji asked Duan Ling Tian coldly as he stared at him. Duan Ling Tian did not come to challenge anyone for the ownership of Secundus house prior to this because he was aware of his own strength. However, today he instantly came to issue a challenge as soon as he left his house. This showed that he was confident about his chances of winning. Duan Ling Tian sneered in response to Zhang Ji's question as he asked indifferently, "What? Are you afraid now?" Scared. Under the watchful eyes of the others, Zhang Ji smirked in response to Duan Ling Tian's question. Duan Ling Tian, you're thinking too much. I admit you're quite strong, and you might even be able to hold your own against an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse once you have broken through to the intermediate exemplary saint stage. However, do you really think that an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse can compare to me? Today, I'll show you that there are mountains beyond mountains and heavens beyond heavens. As soon as Zhang Ji finished speaking, he flew up into the sky. He targeted Duan Ling Tian as he moved agilely like a swimming dragon. Swish, 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 comma. At the same time, when Zhang Ji made his move, devil chi rose in within a 100-meter radius around him. 100 devil shadows that were completely formed by pure devil chi appeared suddenly. At this instant, it caused half of the sky to be covered with devil chi. It looked like dark clouds looming over a city, giving off a gloomy feeling. It's the 100 Devils territory. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples exclaimed in unison. I can't believe Senior Brother Zhang Ji consolidated the 100 Devils territory as soon as he made his move. It seems like he's not underestimating Duan Ling Tian after learning about what happened. He's not showing any mercy at all. Humph. Since Senior Brother Duan Ling Tian dares to claim a Secundus house today, it means he must have broken through just like Senior Brother Zhang Ji said. Senior Brother Duan Ling Tian who has broken through to the intermediate exemplary saint stage can fight a powerhouse at the early quintessential saint stage by relying on various techniques. How can Senior Brother Zhang Ji act recklessly at this moment? That's right. Although Senior Brother Zhang Ji can be considered as the strongest among all powerhouses in the early quintessential saint stage, he's still at the early quintessential saint stage after all. It's not like he's at the intermediate quintessential saint stage or higher. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed among themselves as they continued to look at Zhang Ji who was consolidating the 100 Devils territory. At this moment, Zhang Ji was charging toward Duan Ling Tian at an extremely fast speed. Devil assemble, Zhang Ji shouted. In just an instant, hundreds of devil shadows in the hundreds devil territory began to charge at Duan Ling Tian at an extremely fast speed as well. The hundreds of devil shadows seemed like a devil cloud as it shrouded Zhang Ji, his speed accelerating. This speed was way faster than the speed of an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Elementary devouring tactic, Golden Crow's wings. When Duan Ling Tian saw the menacing devil chi, Duan Ling Tian's expression turned grim immediately. He instantly cast the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic, and immediately devoured the surrounding heaven and earth spirit energy completely before he mobilized the powerful sun saint energy. After that, the Golden Crow's wings burst out of Duan Ling Tian's back, and he began to flap his wings. Boom, 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 boom. The gigantic pair of wings that were burning with scorching flames flapped, causing the air to stir violently before it set off a series of explosions. At the same time, Duan Lingtian managed to put some distance between him and the devil clouds since he was faster. During this time, he discovered the devil clouds were quickly fusing together. In the end, it transformed into a black armor on Zhangji's body. It emitted a blood-curdling aura. Zhangji, who originally had a huge stature, looked even bigger now. He looked like a devil god. His territory actually has such an ability. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he saw this. However, the most shocking thing had yet to come. Rooted Devil Shadow. Zhangji snarled. He activated a medium-grade movement divine ability on his black armor. His speed instantly increased a few times. His speed was finally on par with Duan Lingtian's speed. Duan Lingtian, our speed is evenly matched now. It's better if you unleash all your techniques now. Zhangji shouted as he activated the saint energy in his body to boost his devil chi. In turn, his speed became even faster than before. Although it was not by much, he was still faster than Duan Lingtian. It allowed him to slowly close the gap between him and Duan Lingtian. If this continued, he would definitely catch up to Duan Lingtian. He's going to catch up to Duan Lingtian soon. 10 days ago, during the battle with Ji Yulong, Duan Lingtian only relied on his movement divine ability. If it was not for the fact that he was faster than Ji Yulong, he wouldn't be a match for Ji Yulong at all. That's right, senior brother's advantage is his speed. Now that his opponent is faster than him, does this mean he's going to be defeated by senior brother Zhangji's chopper board soon? I can't believe that this battle has only started, but it's going to end soon. Upon seeing this, many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples shook their heads one by one. They were certain the battle was going to end soon. Junior brother Duan Lingtian, even Zhang Chu could not help but frown. He did not expect that Duan Lingtian's speed that was his advantage was no longer useful as soon as the battle between him and Zhangji had begun. Chapter 1933. Duan Lingtian's biggest advantage was his speed. Every Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple present on the scene knew this very well. Currently, they could tell Zhangji's speed was much faster than Duan Lingtian and the gap between them was closing. In their opinion, the battle was going to end soon. I can't believe senior brother Zhangji's speed is actually this fast. Although Duan Lingtian's speed is much faster compared to 10 days ago, it can't compare to senior brother Zhangji. Actually, Duan Lingtian's current speed can't be considered as slow. His speed is comparable to that of an ordinary early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. It's just that his opponent now is not an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. It's senior brother Zhangji, an elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage powerhouses. Looks like senior brother Zhangji is merely a step away from breaking through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage after coming out of his closed-door cultivation. Otherwise, his speed wouldn't be this fast. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves. They were all in low spirits and had begun to lose interest. Initially, they thought they would be able to witness an exciting fight. Who knew the fight would end so quickly? To think I intentionally came out of my closed-door cultivation for this. How disappointing. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples complained. Some of them had put their cultivation on hold to watch this fight. However, a voice rang in their ears at this moment and lifted their spirits immediately. Do you really think this is as fast as I can go? The voice was cold. It belonged to none other than Duan Lingtian. The moment he finished speaking, the huge wings that were burning with flames flapped even harder. Duan Lingtian's speed instantly increased by 20%. Although it was only 20% faster, he easily left Zhangji far behind in the dust. Horror dawned on Zhangji when he saw Duan Lingtian's silhouette was getting further and further away from him. He did not expect that Duan Lingtian had been concealing the full extent of his speed. It was already so fast to begin with. A feeling of failure instantly rose in his heart. Although Duan Lingtian's speed had not reached the speed of an intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator yet, it was already quite close to it. How fast was his speed after increasing by 20%? He managed to instantly leave Zhangji behind. How fast? His speed is not much slower than an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse, right? This is just too ridiculous. It's completely different from 10 days ago. Apart from making Zhangji feel overwhelmed, it also caused an uproar among the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. How fast? Zhang Chu's expression had turned solemn. Despite having a foot in the intermediate quintessential saint stage, he was aware his speed was nowhere close to the speed of an intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Compared to Duan Lingtian's speed, it was about 20% slower as well. His speed was evenly matched with Zhang Ji's current speed. I can't believe that Zhang Ji has gotten so strong after he came out of his closed-door cultivation. He can already compete with me in terms of speed. Zhang Ji was Zhang Chu's old rival. Zhang Chu naturally felt pressured when he saw his rival had gotten a lot stronger. It has only been 10 days, but why does it feel as though Duan Lingtian has changed into a completely different person? Although his speed is very fast 10 days ago, at the most he was only par with an ordinary early quintessential saint stage cultivator. However, currently, his speed can be considered as the fastest among those under intermediate quintessential saint stage. This is too ridiculous. Unbelievable, he really made a breakthrough in just 10 days. It's unbelievable. Duan Lingtian's burst of speed had baffled most of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene. Most of the disciples who were baffled were those who witnessed the fight between Duan Lingtian and Ji Yulong 10 days ago. Since the fight happened fairly recently, they remembered everything very well. At that time, Duan Lingtian's speed was not as fast as it was now. The increase in his speed did not only shock them, but it caused them to shudder as well. This was because his progress was just too shocking. Humph, so what if your speed is faster than mine? Your strength is merely temporarily raised by an assist-type divine ability. How long will it last? Zhang Ji began to slow down when he saw that he could not catch up to Duan Lingtian. He snorted and said disdainfully, "You'd better run away now. Otherwise, I'll torture you when I catch you, since the effect of your assist-type divine ability will lose its effect soon. If you're scared, you can always admit defeat and flee. Once I catch you, I can still torture you until you wish to die. That way I'm not violating the rules of the Black Turtle Sanctum and Fire Worship Sect." Zhang Ji's voice was extremely cold. It seemed as though the surroundings' temperature had dropped by a few degrees. Zhang Ji. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was flying into the distance, suddenly turned around and announced loudly, "Although I know you're trying to provoke me into fleeing, I have to tell you that I have no plans of fleeing from the beginning until now. At the very least, you don't have the ability to make me turn tail and run." He said all this confidently and with certainty. It's all just words. If you're not trying to flee, why are you avoiding me then? Do you even dare to have a direct battle with me? Zhang Ji sneered. He continued to goad Duan Lingtian. "You're just trash and a coward. A person like you is not qualified to stay in the Black Turtle Sanctum in the Fire Worship Sect. You're just making a fool out of yourself." Although Duan Lingtian knew Zhang Ji was just trying to provoke him into making a move, he was still angered by his words. "Zhang Ji, since you want a direct battle, I'll fulfill your wish," Duan Lingtian said coldly. He flapped his massive wings, and in just a blink of an eye, he drew close to Zhang Ji. He instantly cast his divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial. Swish! Under the watchful eyes of the others, Duan Lingtian soared into the sky. When he reappeared again, he charged down menacingly. However, there was only one Duan Lingtian who soared up into the air. There were 3 Duan Lingtians who turned around instead. Nobody could discern which one was the real Duan Lingtian. 300 inscriptions, saint swords slashed out with killing intent as they all pointed at Zhang Ji's vital points. It was apparent Duan Lingtian meant to kill him in a blow. Is this a divine ability? What a powerful divine ability. I'm afraid this divine ability is a high-grade divine ability as well. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples with a higher cultivation base could tell the Otherworldly Celestial that Duan Lingtian had cast was not ordinary. Despite not having fully mastered the divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial, the force that Duan Lingtian unleashed when he coupled it with the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the second stage of the Sovereign Heart Sword, was extraordinary. It made people believe it was a high-grade divine ability. 10 days ago, when Ji Yulong died, 3 of his vital points had been pierced. It seems like he must have died from this sword-type divine ability. At that time, Duan Lingtian had consolidated his territory and blocked our vision so we couldn't see what he was doing. Now I finally understand what he was doing in his territory. It's indeed a 3 swords instant kill. However, it's not as simple as just a martial tactic. I think this sword-type divine ability is most likely a high-grade divine ability. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' attention was all focused on the divine ability, the Otherworldly Celestial, that Duan Lingtian had cast. 3 swords descended from the sky like 3 sword deities who had descended to the world, Otherworldly Celestial. 3 high-grade divine abilities. Zhang Chu, who was standing in the distance, was shocked. Well, He's only an exemplary saint stage martial cultivator, but he's able to cast such a powerful attack. It seems like the assist-type divine ability must be a high-grade divine ability. Moreover, the sword-type divine ability that he is casting now must also be a high-grade divine ability. As for the movement divine ability, there's no doubt that it's a high-grade divine ability. Zhang Ji's expression turned grim when he saw the divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, that Duan Lingtian cast. Zhang Ji was shocked as well. He successfully comprehended and mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities. How's this possible? A flame of jealousy rose in his heart. To think that he, Zhang Ji, was an early quintessential saint stage, but until now, he had only successfully comprehended 2 medium-grade divine abilities and 1 high-grade divine ability. This fellow, on the other hand, was only an exemplary saint stage cultivator, but he had successfully comprehended and mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities. It was only natural for him to feel jealous. Zhang Ji, who was burning with jealousy, looked at Duan Lingtian with a cold gaze. If looks could kill, Duan Lingtian would have died 1,000 times over. Humph, your sword-type divine ability is not bad, but unfortunately, you're just too weak. Faced with the 300 inscriptions saint sword that were descending from the sky, Zhang Ji snorted coldly and raised his hands. Boxing gloves appeared on his fists immediately. This was his 100 inscriptions saint weapon. The boxing gloves were completely black. Nobody knew what it was made of. Since it was a 100 inscriptions saint weapon, naturally it was not just an ordinary boxing gloves. Faced with 3 Duan Lingtians that were like sword deities and the 3 swords that were like the celestial swords, Zhang Ji shouted, "Cyclopean punch." At the same time, he punched his fists out fearlessly. Chapter 1934. Bang, bang. Zhang Ji punched his fists out with his 100 inscriptions saint weapon that contained a punch-type tactic. Moreover, he cast one of the 3 divine abilities he had mastered as well. It was the offensive divine ability, the Cyclopean punch. This was his only high-grade divine ability that he mastered among all 3 of his divine abilities. Boom, boom, boom. When he punched his fists out, the force seemed as though it could shatter mountains. There seemed to be 2 majestic dragons at the wake of his fists as it punched at the 100 inscriptions saint swords that Duan Lingtian and his 2 clones were wielding like sword deities. It did not take long before the forces clashed. At the instant they collided, it caused another thunderous explosion. How powerful! Is this a high-grade divine ability? Duan Lingtian felt his blood and vital energy churning chaotically after the collision with Zhang Ji's fists. Horror dawned on Duan Lingtian when he discovered Zhang Ji's energy seemed to have overpowered his energy. At this moment, Zhang Ji was charging toward him again. Duan Lingtian did not expect Zhang Ji had mastered a high-grade offensive divine ability as well. Moreover, Zhang Ji did not seem afraid to go against his high-grade divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, that he had cast. It did not seem like he was worried about being injured by the sword chi. His defense is actually so strong. In the next instant, Duan Lingtian realized the armor that Zhang Ji formed from his territory seemed to work very well with his defensive tactic and defensive divine ability. For this reason, the sword chi from the otherworldly celestial did not injure him at all. No wonder he dares to fight directly with me, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Soon after, he discovered Zhang Ji's attack was drawing closer to him. It was only a foot away from him and would soon land on him. Trash, Zhang Ji said disdainfully to Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian instantly felt his vital energy and blood surging. He was extremely furious at this moment that he had forgotten he could transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior and use his strong physique to withstand the attack. He was too blinded by his rage at this moment. Meanwhile, his spiritual energy began to get agitated. Elementary devouring tactic, soul attack. Duan Lingtian did not know why he was so furious and had even lost his rationality. Although he did not transform into a 9-clawed dragon warrior, he instinctively cast the divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic and the soul attack from his strange pupil that he recently mastered. The elementary devouring tactic was supposed to be able to absorb all energy, and this included his opponent's energy. Duan Lingtian knew about this, but he had not tried using it in this way before. Based on the information about the elementary devouring tactic, if he used the elementary devouring tactic to absorb another person's energy, there would be a backlash as well. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian did not dare to use it all this while. It was only at this moment that he instinctively used the elementary devouring tactic in this way. The force charging toward him was oppressive and exerted a huge pressure on him. As soon as Duan Lingtian cast the elementary devouring tactic, a whirlpool began to appear around him and absorb the menacing force. Soon after, Duan Lingtian began to experience the backlash. Since the energy Duan Lingtian absorbed did not belong to him, it ran amok in body, causing his organs to be injured. He was in so much pain that he even began to wish that death would come for him. "You're seeking death." Zhang Ji was surprised Duan Lingtian was able to absorb his energy with his assist-type divine ability. However, he quickly discovered he could still control the energy in Duan Lingtian's body. He sneered as he caused chaos inside Duan Lingtian's body with that energy. Swoosh! At this moment, a light flashed across Duan Lingtian's strange pupil. The soul attack in the form of a dragon shot out and entered Zhang Ji's body before he could even react. After the soul attack entered Zhang Ji's body, it rushed straight towards his soul. Boom! Although the soul attack was not as strong as Zhang Ji's attack that was at the early quintessential saint stage soul, it still caused Zhang Ji's soul to tremble for a moment when they collided. Soul attack! Horror dawned on Zhang Ji. He did not expect Duan Lingtian would still be able to cast a soul attack at this moment. Although the soul attack was not particularly powerful, it still managed to make his soul tremble, causing him to be momentarily stunned. While he was stunned, Zhang Ji lost control of the energy in Duan Lingtian's body. Swallow! Duan Lingtian released a burst of energy suddenly and absorbed Zhang Ji's energy completely, converting it into his own energy. At this moment, Duan Lingtian discovered he had lost a little control of the energy in his body. This was because he had absorbed a huge amount of heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings before this and raised his sun saint energy to the peak of the exemplary saint stage before he absorbed Zhang Ji's energy. Duan Lingtian was filled to the brim with all the energy that he felt like he and his 99 saint veins were going to explode. Duan Lingtian, who was in pain from being filled with too much energy, could no longer endure it. He raised his hand and pushed his palm out as he said, "Release." The extra energy shot out of his palm immediately as it swept toward Zhang Ji, who was standing nearby. Swoosh! Duan Lingtian had released the energy quickly and without warning. Horror dawned on Zhang Ji as he hurriedly activated his energy that was filled with devil chi to block the incoming energy. Zhang Ji's armor instantly turned even darker. Boom! In the next moment, the energy that made Duan Lingtian feel as though his body was going to explode landed on Zhang Ji, completely shrouding his body. Bang! A thunderous noise rang in the air as Zhang Ji was sent flying like an arrow that was shot out. He looked extremely wretched. Even his black armor had disappeared from his body. It seemed like it had been destroyed by the energy Duan Lingtian shot out from his palm. Soon after Zhang Ji was sent flying, he landed on the ground with a crash. After that, he showed no signs of movements. He's dead. Horror dawned on Duan Lingtian when he saw this. His fight with Zhang Ji was not a death duel. If Zhang Ji died, he would definitely be punished by the fire worship sect for breaking its rules. As for the people present on the scene, all of them had fallen silent in shock. It was so quiet that they could all hear Duan Lingtian panting. Barf! Zhang Ji's body suddenly moved as he turned his head to the side and threw up a huge mouthful of blood. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. It was good that Zhang Ji was not dead. It was really bad earlier. When Duan Lingtian recalled what had happened earlier with Zhang Ji's oppressive energy, he felt a lingering fear. If he was given a second chance, he would not recklessly absorb Zhang Ji's energy using the elementary devouring tactic. At the very least, he would not absorb the energy as long as it was still under Zhang Ji's control. If it was not for the strange pupil casting the soul attack in time to distract Zhang Ji, I would have been killed by that energy. Although I managed to distract Zhang Ji and successfully absorb this energy, it carries the risks of overloading and exploding. I would have died without a corpse if that happens. Duan Lingtian concluded that he did not want to experience something like that ever again in his life. Even the energy that suddenly burst out in the end was terrifying as well. It was on par with the full strength of an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. He really did not want to experience it again. The energy in my body is completely depleted. Duan Lingtian felt the emptiness in his body. This feeling was somewhat similar to when he first used the Jasper Celestial Sword, and it absorbed all his energy. The force earlier is on par with the force I'll be able to exert if I use the Jasper Celestial Sword with all my might. However, I don't think I'm going to resort to that method since I really have no wish to experience this empty feeling again. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief again when he made sure Zhangji, who was lying on the ground, was still breathing. He was not dead nor crippled. He had merely lost consciousness. Zhangji, from now on, your Secundus house is mine. Duan Lingtian used the last ounce of his energy to say after he glanced at Zhangji indifferently. Then, he hurriedly entered the Secundus house that Zhangji used to live in and closed the door with a loud bang. After he entered the room, he sat down and slumped against the wall immediately. He could not even sit without support, let alone stand. Meanwhile, Zhangji, who had been woken up by Duan Lingtian's words, was so furious he threw up another mouthful of blood before passing out again. Zhangji was pretty unlucky considering the energy that injured him was mostly his own energy. Only a small part of it belonged to Duan Lingtian. When the two energies fused together, it wreaked havoc in Duan Lingtian's body. At the moment when he felt it was about to burst out, the energy had already mutated. He had no choice but to release the tyrannical energy, and it just so happened that Zhangji was in his path. The energy was on par with the full strength of an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage martial cultivator had mercilessly destroyed Zhangji's layer of defense. Moreover, it even sent him flying and injured him severely. It was fortunate that Zhangji was quite strong and was a devil cultivator who specialized in cultivating his body. If he was just an ordinary early quintessential saint stage powerhouse, he would have died. After Duan Lingtian hurriedly entered the Secundus house and Zhangji passed out, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples finally regained their senses. All of them could not help but gasp. Chapter 1935. Senior brother Zhangji is actually defeated. How's this possible? If I'm not mistaken, the attack senior brother Zhangji had cast earlier is the high-grade punch-type divine ability, the Cyclopean Punch. I can't believe senior brother Zhangji has successfully comprehended and mastered it. Based on senior brother Zhangji's current strength, when he unleashes all his techniques and casts the Cyclopean Punch, his strength is no different from an ordinary intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Even then, it seems like he didn't manage to injure senior brother Duan Lingtian at all. Not only did he not injure senior brother Duan Lingtian, but senior brother Zhangji is injured and defeated in the end. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were in an uproar. The fight between Duan Lingtian's divine ability, the otherworldly celestial, and Zhangji's divine ability, the Cyclopean Punch, had shocked the Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Prior to this, they were not aware that both of them had mastered an offensive divine ability. Initially, they thought Duan Lingtian had a small chance of winning when they saw him cast the high-grade offensive divine ability. However, when they saw Zhangji had also cast a high-grade offensive divine ability, none of them thought Duan Lingtian would be able to win since Zhangji was far stronger than Duan Lingtian. Coupled with his high-grade offensive divine ability, he would definitely overpower Duan Lingtian even if Duan Lingtian had also cast a high-grade offensive divine ability. Initially, things unfolded the way they had imagined. Zhangji's energy managed to shatter Duan Lingtian's energy and swept toward Duan Lingtian. At the moment when they thought Duan Lingtian would be sent flying and defeated, a shocking scene unfolded before their eyes. A terrifying whirlpool suddenly appeared around Duan Lingtian. It was none other than the assist-type divine ability that he had cast before. When the whirlpool appeared, it absorbed the energy that Zhangji had released. After that, Duan Lingtian pushed his palm out and released his energy and the energy he absorbed from Zhangji. The mixture of the two resulted in an extremely terrifying energy. Although Zhangji defended with all his might, he was still severely wounded. He might not be dead or crippled, but judging by his wounds, he would not be able to stand up without resting for half a day. What exactly is that assist-type divine ability that senior brother Duan Lingtian mastered? Apart from being able to absorb the heaven and earth spirit energy in the surroundings to strengthen his own strength in a short time, it can even absorb his opponent's energy. It's too terrifying. Based on what we've seen, even the most precious assist-type divine ability in the Azure Dragon Sanctum is far from being comparable to senior brother Duan Lingtian's divine ability. In my opinion, even the strongest assist-type divine ability in the Fire Worship sect might not be able to compare to senior brother Duan Lingtian's divine ability, let alone the Azure Dragon Sanctum's most treasured assist-type divine ability. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples discussed Duan Lingtian's divine ability and how it turned the tide of the battle at the critical moment, resulting in his victory. Without it, he would have been defeated. Naturally, Duan Lingtian's high-grade divine ability became the focus of their discussion. I've never heard of the assist-type divine ability that senior brother Duan Lingtian had cast before. Neither have I. It's really a horrifying divine ability. Although there were many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples, they soon found out that none of them had heard about Duan Ling Tian's assist-type divine ability. Not only that, they did not even know what it was called. That divine ability was a mystery to them. What a fearsome assist-type divine ability. Even Zhang Chu, who already had one foot in the intermediate quintessential saint stage, was also shocked when he regained his senses. He was shocked by how Duan Ling Tian managed to turn the tide of the battle and defeat Zhang Ji at the critical moment. In fact, Zhang Chu did not think Duan Ling Tian would be able to win when he saw Zhang Ji had cast his high-grade offensive divine ability, the Cyclopean Punch. At that time, Zhang Ji's strength was almost evenly matched with him. I can't believe Zhang Ji has actually successfully comprehended the high-grade divine ability, the Cyclopean Punch that his master passed on to him. If I were to fight him now, I'm not entirely confident I'll be able to defeat him. At most, we'll come to a draw. A hint of disdain appeared in Zhang Chu's eyes as he looked at Zhang Ji, who was lying unconscious on the ground. Zhang Ji's strength after he came out of his closed-door cultivation had pressured Zhang Chu. He took a deep breath as he glanced at the Secundus house that used to belong to Zhang Ji before returning to his own Secundus house to go into closed-door cultivation. I won't come out of closed-door cultivation until I've broken through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Zhang Chu made up his mind before he even entered his house. After a while, Zhang Ji finally woke up. However, since he was severely injured, it was difficult for him to move. It felt as though his tendons and muscles were frozen stiff. Although many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples had already left, there were still a few of them that stood around discussing the earlier battle. During the battle, from the beginning until the end, I did not doubt that senior brother Zhang Ji would win. I didn't expect that he would be defeated in the end. Senior brother Duan Ling Tian's strength is just too heaven-defying. The strength that senior brother Zhang Ji demonstrated with the help of the high-grade divine ability, the Cyclopean Punch, is at the peak of the early quintessential saint stage. Even then, he's still defeated by senior brother Duan Ling Tian. I remember when the battle had just begun, senior brother Zhang Ji seemed to have said that he would make senior brother Duan Ling Tian suffer so much pain that he would wish for death instead. However, it seems like he's the one that wishes for death now. Speaking about that, I have to say that senior brother Duan Ling Tian's temper is really good. If I were him, I'd definitely ridicule senior brother Zhang Ji mercilessly after I've defeated him to pay him back for all the humiliation he had caused. Exactly, senior brother Duan Ling Tian's temper is really good. A great man wouldn't stoop to such a level of pettiness. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples continued to discuss among themselves, unaware that Zhang Ji had regained consciousness. Upon hearing their words, Zhang Ji's face turned red before he passed out again. Naturally, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples were unaware of the reason Duan Ling Tian did not mock Zhang Ji after he had defeated him was not due to his good temper. It was because he was not in a good condition as well. He had no energy left to mock Zhang Ji. Otherwise, with his temper, he would have given Zhang Ji a good slap. He only managed to muster up a bit of energy and shot his parting words at Zhang Ji. Zhang Ji, from now on, your Secundus house is mine. Based on this statement, it was clear that the winner of today's battle was Duan Ling Tian. If he had collapsed in front of everyone, people might dispute that their battle had ended in a draw. This was obviously not something Duan Ling Tian wanted. Inside the Secundus house that used to belong to Zhang Ji, Duan Ling Tian was slumped on the ground as his body began to heal. Not only was his Sun Saint energy slowly recovering, but his exhaustion was slowly disappearing as well. Moreover, his divine consciousness became clearer as well. I can't believe Zhang Ji actually comprehended a high-grade offensive divine ability as well. When Duan Ling Tian recalled the scene earlier, he was still a little stunned. Duan Ling Tian was not certain he would be a match for Zhang Ji when he cast his high-grade divine ability, even if he transformed into a 9-clawed dragon warrior. If the battle went on any longer, he would definitely be defeated. Fortunately, at the critical moment, he had instinctively cast the elementary devouring tactic and soul attack, defeating Zhang Ji in just a blow. One could say he won the battle by sheer luck. Judging by Zhang Ji's strength, I'm afraid there are not many people below the intermediate quintessential saint stage who will be able to defeat him. If I want to defeat him with ease, I'll have to break through to the mastery divine saint stage first before he breaks through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself. With my green innate spiritual root and the time flow in the 4th level of 7 treasures exquisite pagoda that's boosted by the cultivation environment in the Secundus house, it'll take me a month at most to break through to the Mastery Divine Saint stage. When Duan Lingtian recalled that he had raised the level of his innate spiritual root, an expression of confidence appeared on his face. Naturally, when Duan Lingtian mentioned 1 month, it referred to the time in the outside world. 1 month in the outside world was equivalent to 10 months in the 7 treasures exquisite pagoda. No matter what, in the future, I won't use the elementary devouring tactic to devour someone else's energy unless it's absolutely necessary. I can't let the energy in my body overload again. Not only did it feel tortuous, but there's a risk of my body exploding as well. If Duan Lingtian did not manage to release the building energy in his body in time, he would have exploded. Zhang Ji's pretty unlucky. It's not like I could control the energy. At that time, I had simply pushed out a palm to release the energy. Who knew he would be standing in front of me at that moment? Duan Lingtian took pleasure in Zhang Ji's misfortune when he thought about this. Duan Lingtian was unaware that at this moment an uninvited guest had shown up in the residence of First Silver Flame Elder Li and in the Black Turtle Sanctum. This uninvited guest was none other than Yang Chong, the 5th elder from a first-rate force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, the Northern Plethora sect. He was the biological father of Yang Wu whom Duan Lingtian had killed in a death duel on the day they arrived at the Black Turtle Sanctum. Chapter 1936. Pal, I've let you down regarding Little Wu's incident. Lian instantly apologized with a guilty expression on his face when saw the travel-weary Yang Chong. Yang Chong was an old man with an ordinary appearance and a huge build. His hair and eyebrows were white. He looked like a looming pagoda as he stood there. He shook his head when he heard Lian's apology. I understand your difficulty. If I were you, I would have done the same. For this reason, I don't blame you for Little Wu's death. He had learned about what happened from the old servant that followed by his son's side, and he could understand Lian's actions. If Lian had intervened more than he already did, it would cause an even bigger incident. Since this would affect the fire worship sect's reputation, the high-ranking officials of the fire worship sect would likely expel Lian to save the sect's reputation. For this reason, he understood why Lian acted the way he did. Lian felt even more guilty when he saw how understanding Yang Chong was. His gaze was cold as he said sincerely, "Don't worry, I'll definitely avenge Little Wu." However, Yang Chong did not seem to hear Lian's words. He only looked at Lian and said indifferently, "Bring me to see the person who killed my son." All right. Lian was not surprised that Yang Chong wanted to see Duan Lingtian. He instantly led Yang Chong to where Duan Lingtian was. Although Yang Chong had said he did not blame Lian for this incident, when Lian saw Yang Chong keeping mum, he knew Yang Chong must have blamed him a little at the very least. This was only natural, so Lian was not worried about it. Duan Lingtian had also killed someone I was planning to accept as a disciple 10 days ago. I won't be able to rest as long as he's alive, Lian suddenly said in a deep voice as his eyes gleamed with murderous intent. Lian had suddenly spoken because he wanted to break the ice. Moreover, he really did hate Duan Lingtian. You were planning to accept a direct disciple. As Lian expected, as soon as Yang Chong heard his words, he turned to look at Lian in confusion. From what he knew, Lian had very high requirements when accepting disciples. The 3 disciples he had accepted possessed blue innate spiritual roots. Yes, Lian nodded before he told Yang Chong about Ji Yu Chun and his cousin, Ji Yu Long, and how Ji Yu Long was also killed by Duan Lingtian. When he finished speaking, his eyes shone with killing intent. The aura emitting out of his body was extremely cold as well, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop by several degrees. I'm even more curious now. Who's so daring to offend First Silver Flame Elder Lian from the Black Turtle Sanctum to this extent? One must admit that Lian's complaints had made Yang Chong feel better. As it turned out, his son was not the only one who was killed by this person. Even the person whom Lian desperately wanted to accept as a disciple since he possessed a blue innate spiritual root was killed by this person as well. For this reason, at this moment, Yang Chong felt a sense of camaraderie with Lian. The small bit of dissatisfaction he felt in his heart disappeared immediately. Did you hear? Duan Lingtian struck again after killing Ji Yu Long 10 days ago. As Lian and Yang Chong made their way to the altar of the Black Turtle Sanctum, they suddenly heard a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple exclaiming loudly. Lian and Yang Chong were flying high in the sky, therefore nobody on the ground noticed them at all. Otherwise, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples by the altar would have come forward to greet Lian. Duan Lingtian. Lian and Yang Chong exchanged a look before they came to a halt to listen to the conversation. Are you talking about how Duan Lingtian challenged senior brother Zhang Ji and successfully claimed a Secundus house after defeating him? That's right. It seems you've heard about it as well. How could I not? Currently, almost every Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple who's not in closed-door cultivation has heard about it. Duan Lingtian is really strong. To think he's even able to defeat Zhang Ji too. The conversation of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples entered Lian and Yang Chong's ears clearly. Secundus house. Yang Chong's eyes narrowed immediately. Although he was not a member of the fire worship sect, since he was best friends with Lian, he knew the ins and outs of the fire worship sect. Based on what he knew, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who resided in Secundus houses were mostly at the quintessential saint stage and above. Lian, didn't you say Duan Lingtian's strength 10 days ago is only the strongest among martial cultivators at the peak of the exemplary saint stage? Only 10 days have passed, but he's already capable of competing for a Secundus house. Yang Chong asked with a frown as he looked at Lian. He did not wait for Lian to reply before he continued saying, I remember you told me that Secundus houses in the Black Turtle Sanctum are for quintessential saint stage disciples. Is Zhang Ji a quintessential saint stage disciple living in the Secundus house? Lian did not reply to him after he finished speaking. To Yang Chong's surprise, he saw Lian had an expression of terror and disbelief on his face. What's wrong? Yang Chong could not help but ask when he saw this. Zhang Ji is a direct disciple of one of the Silver Flame Elders in our Black Turtle Sanctum. He's an elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage disciples in our Black Turtle Sanctum. He's only a step away from breaking through to the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Lian answered solemnly. An elite powerhouse among all early quintessential saint stage disciples in the Black Turtle Sanctum. Such a person is defeated by Duan Lingtian. Yang Chong was puzzled. However, the most shocking news had yet to come. I heard that during the battle, senior brother Zhang Ji had cast the high-grade offensive divine ability, the Cyclopean Punch. Even then, he's still defeated. When Lian heard this, his eyes widened in disbelief. How's this possible? He exclaimed. He had cast a high-grade offensive divine ability, but he's defeated by Duan Lingtian. Yang Chong's expression turned grave as he muttered, it seems like Duan Lingtian did not use all his strength when he fought with Ji Yulong 10 days ago. In the end, Lian and Yang Chong learned about everything that had happened that day between Duan Lingtian and Zhang Ji. In the end, when they looked at each other, they could see the confusion in each other's eyes. Duan Lingtian had actually mastered 3 high-grade divine abilities. Not only that, the high-grade assist-type divine ability that Duan Lingtian mastered had absorbed the powerful energy that Zhang Ji unleashed at the critical moment. Moreover, he had fused his own energy with Zhang Ji's energy and counterattacked, severely injuring Zhang Ji and defeating him. What kind of assist-type divine ability is that? Lian and Yang Chong exchanged a glance. They were still shocked. Both of them had never heard of such a divine ability. What a tyrannical assist-type divine ability! Yang Chong remarked in a deep voice. It's indeed tyrannical. What did Duan Lingtian do to deserve such blessings from God? Not only did he comprehend 3 high-grade divine abilities, but his assist-type divine ability is not even a normal high-grade divine ability. Lian's eyes were red with jealousy when he finished speaking. At the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Inside the Secundus house, Duan Lingtian, who had recuperated for a while, finally had the strength to stand up. After he stood up, he immediately entered the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. He planned to utilize the slow time flow inside to recover his Sun Saint energy. The empty feeling in his body made him feel insecure. After I recover, I'll go into closed-door cultivation and raise my cultivation base to the peak of the Divine Saint stage first before planning on what to do next. As for now, Duan Lingtian did not dare to think about the exemplary Saint stage. Currently, his cultivation base had only broken through to the intermediate Divine Saint stage. Duan Lingtian did not know how long it had been, but when the Sun Saint energy in his body had recovered by about 10%, a cold voice rang from outside his house, jolting him awake. Duan Lingtian was no stranger to this voice. He could tell it belonged to the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian. What's he doing here? Don't tell me Zhang Ji has some kind of connection with him as well. Duan Lingtian frowned and exited the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. After putting away the 7 treasures' exquisite pagoda, he pushed the door open and walked out into the little courtyard of the Secundus house. As soon as he walked out, he could feel many eyes trained on him. 2 pairs of eyes in particular felt hostile and was filled with killing intent. Who's he? Duan Lingtian looked at Lian before he shifted his attention to an old man with a huge build standing next to Lian. A puzzled expression appeared on his face. He did not find it strange that Lian was looking at him with murderous intent. However, he was certain this was his first time meeting this old man. Moreover, the old man was not even wearing the fire worship sect's uniform. This meant he was not a member of the fire worship sect. Duan Lingtian did not know how he had offended this old man to the point that he would emit such a terrifying killing intent. "You're Duan Lingtian?" the old man with a huge build asked in an interrogative tone. "Who are you?" Duan Lingtian asked in return in response to the old man's question. Under the watchful eyes of the others, the old man with a huge built old man looked at Duan Lingtian and said in a tone that was neither hurried nor slow, "You, kill yourself." His tone brooked no argument. Chapter 1937. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples who came out to watch the show after hearing Lian called out to Duan Lingtian was surprised at once when they heard the words the huge-built old man said to Duan Lingtian. They were all momentarily stunned before they finally regained their senses. This old man told Duan Lingtian to kill himself. Who's he? The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene were curious about the identity of the old man with a huge-built old man. Kill yourself. When Duan Lingtian heard the huge-built old man's words, he was stunned. Then, he narrowed his eyes as it flashed coldly. When Duan Lingtian sensed the murderous intent from the old man and heard the words he said, coupled with him being in Lian's company, even if Duan Lingtian was slow-witted, he would have been able to guess the old man was Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect. He was the father of Yang Wu whom he had killed. Based on what he knew, Yang Chong and Lian were good friends. Duan Lingtian rose into the sky and stood at the same level Yang Chong as he glanced at him lazily. He asked indifferently, "Yang Chong, this is not the Northern Plethora sect, and I'm not a Northern Plethora sect's disciple. Don't you think you're overstepping the boundary by asking me to kill myself?" Yang Chong. The moment his words left his mouth, the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples in the surroundings burst into an uproar. So he's actually Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect. He's ranked 146th on the Supreme Saint rankings. I've long heard that Yang Chong, the 5th elder of Northern Plethora sect, is close friends with our Black Turtle Sanctum's elder Lian, but this is my first time seeing this Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder. However, why does it seem like he has some deep-seated enmity with Duan Lingtian? When Duan Lingtian just arrived at the Black Turtle Sanctum, he has publicly offended Lian. However, the first time he offended elder Lian is not known by everyone. What is it? When Duan Lingtian first arrived at the Black Turtle Sanctum, Yang Wu, the son of the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, provoked him. After that, Yang Wu even issued a death duel to Duan Lingtian, but it resulted in Yang Wu's death. Elder Lian was present on the scene as well at that time. Oh, I see. He killed the son of Elder Lian's best friend in front of Elder Lian. No wonder Elder Lian is angry. Well, it's not Duan Lingtian's fault. The dispute between Duan Lingtian and Yang Wu was started by Yang Wu. In fact, Yang Wu was the one who issued the death duel. No matter what, I don't think Duan Lingtian is at fault for killing Yang Wu. As some Black Turtle Sanctums whispered among themselves, the rest of the disciples who were unaware of the origin of the enmity between Duan Lingtian and Lian finally found out what had happened. For this reason, they were no longer surprised by the words Yang Chong, the 5th elder of Northern Plethora sect, had said to Duan Lingtian. They all felt that Yang Chong was acting too arrogant. Did he think he was still in the Northern Plethora sect and that his identity as the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect meant anything here? I'll give you one last chance. Kill yourself in within 10 breaths. I won't be lenient and give you another chance. Yang Chong ordered Duan Lingtian to kill himself again. Moreover, this time he even gave Duan Lingtian a time limit. He spoke without any hints of restraint. He acted as though he would kill Duan Lingtian if Duan Lingtian did not abide by his words. An ominous feeling rose in Duan Lingtian's heart when he heard his words. Then, he forcefully suppressed the feeling as he looked at Yang Chong with mocking smile. Yang Chong, are you deaf? Do I have to repeat myself? Duan Lingtian had an expression of disdain on his face as he said, "This is not the Northern Plethora sect, so your identity as the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect means nothing here. Kill myself in 10 breaths. Even if you give me 100 breaths, I still won't kill myself. What are you going to do about it? Don't tell me you're going to kill me. Don't forget that this is the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the 4 symbols sanctums in the fire worship sect. It's not a place where you, Yang Chong, can act as you like. In this place, you don't have a right to order me around, let alone dictate whether I should live or die. Duan Lingtian's words were spoken loudly and clearly with no hint of politeness at all. Since the other party had come all the way here to ask him to kill himself, he would be a coward if he still spoke to him politely. Being a coward is not Duan Lingtian's style. Many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene agreed with Duan Lingtian's words. Their blood began to boil with indignation. If it was not for the fact that they were afraid of offending Lian, they would have cheered loudly for Duan Lingtian. Yang Chong did not expect Duan Lingtian would be so impolite and blunt. It caused his expression to darken immediately. Li An's expression turned grave as well as he said coldly, Duan Lingtian, Elder Yang Chong is a distinguished guest of the Black Turtle Sanctum. As a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, how dare you be so rude? Did you think the rules of the fire worship sect is inflexible? A strange expression appeared on many Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' faces when they heard Li An's words. Duan Lingtian instantly burst out laughing, causing Li An's expression to turn even graver. If Lian did not fear being punished and expelled from the fire worship sect, he would kill Duan Lingtian and ripped him into 1,000 pieces. What are you laughing about? Lian asked coldly. His voice was so cold that it sent chills running up people's spines. What am I laughing about? Duan Lingtian stopped laughing as he looked at Lian with a mocking expression. Elder Lian, you know why I am laughing. Is there a need for you ask me why? A distinguished guest of our Black Turtle Sanctum you said. From what I can see, he's your distinguished guest, right? Sect's rules. Elder Lian, are you sure you want to start discussing sect's rules with me? Although I don't know all the rules in the fire worship sect, I believe the rules have to be strictly implemented since the sect has managed to last this long. There must be a rule to deal with people who join forces with outsiders to oppress sect members. Duan Lingtian glanced at Lian knowingly when he finished speaking. Who are you accusing of joining forces with outsiders to oppress sect members? Li An's expression turned graver. He did not expect Duan Lingtian would accuse him publicly of such a crime. If news of this spread out, it would not be good for him. Apart from the sanctum leader, there were many people in the fire worship sect he had to be afraid of. Duan Lingtian, do you know it's a crime to slander a sect elder? Li An's eyes were gleaming coldly as he stared at Duan Lingtian like a poisonous snake that was about to strike. Slander. Slander my sect elder. Duan Lingtian laughed. Elder Lian, did you say I slandered someone? May I know who I slandered? You said I've slandered my sect elder, so can you please tell me who have I slandered? There are so many seniors here. You can ask any of them to be your witness. Did any one of them hear me slandering a sect elder? When the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples present on the scene heard such a shameless statement from Duan Lingtian, they could not help but laugh. However, they did not dare to laugh too loudly since they were afraid of Lian. They were delighted when they heard Duan Lingtian's words. It was apparent that Lian was colluding with an outsider to deal with their sect member. It was only natural they felt angry on his behalf. If Lian had dealt with Duan Lingtian without involving an outsider, they might not have felt anything since it was just an internal strife. However, when Lian joined forces with the Yang Chong, the 5th elder of Northern Plethora sect, to deal with Duan Lingtian, it changed the situation entirely. As a fire worship sect and Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple like Duan Lingtian, they would naturally empathize with him. An outsider was still an outsider after all. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's shameless statement, Lian was so infuriated that he was rendered speechless. When he thought about it again, he realized Duan Lingtian did not mention any names at all. If he continued to pursue this matter, it would be apparent that he was guilty. You really have a few tricks up your sleeve, Yang Chong said as he looked at Duan Lingtian nonchalantly. Duan Lingtian, 10 breaths have gone by. I've already given you a chance to appease me. I hope you don't regret your decision in the future. Regret? Duan Lingtian sneered. What's there for me to regret? If you at least have a green spiritual root, there might be some words that I can't say since I'm wary of the fire worship sect. Although Yang Chong was patient, faced with Duan Lingtian's sneer, he became furious. However, you are merely a commoner with a yellow innate spiritual root. There are some words that even if I say out loud, the fire worship sect won't come for me. That's right. If you continue to hide in the fire worship sect, I, Yang Chong, won't be able to touch you, but can you guarantee that all of your friends and family have a strong backing to deter me? He chuckled sinisterly when he reached the end of his sentence. He did not hesitate to threaten Duan Lingtian. If I can't deal with you, I'll deal with your friends and family instead. I believe with the network of intelligence in the Northern Plethora sect and my own strength, it won't be difficult for me to find out about your background, Yang Chong remarked indifferently. It's unfortunate that you didn't kill yourself when I asked you to. You could have protected your friends and family. I really feel sad for them for having such a friend and family like you. Duan Lingtian, even if you hide in the fire worship sect forever, I'll still make sure you suffer from the pain of losing all of your friends and family. I, Yang Chong, the 5th elder of Northern Plethora sect, promise you this. Chapter 1938, Chapter 1939, The Contingency Plan. I, Yang Chong, the 5th elder of Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder, will keep my words. Yang Chong's eyes gleamed murderously when he finished speaking. Then, he looked at Duan Lingtian again with a sneer before he turned around to leave. It was just as he had said. If Duan Lingtian was a fire worship sect's disciple with a high innate talent, he would not have dared to threaten him with his family and friends since it would offend the fire worship sect. However, Duan Lingtian was merely an ordinary fire worship sect's disciple with a yellow innate spiritual root. Even if he was threatened in such a way, the fire worship sect would not do anything for him, especially when the other party was the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, a first-rate force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Humph. After Yang Chong left, Lian also looked at Duan Lingtian coldly before he chased after Yang Chong. However, he did not dare to say anything else. Despite being a first Silver Flame elder, he still could not bear the heavy crime of colluding with an outsider to harm a sect member. Senior brother Lingtian, good job. After Lian left with Yang Chong, people burst into an uproar. Many people gave Duan Lingtian a thumbs up. Duan Lingtian's outburst had delighted them. Naturally, there were also some disciples who did not say anything and merely looked at him with a worried expression. They had noticed that Duan Lingtian's expression had turned grave. They knew Yang Chong was serious about his threat. It seems like senior brother Duan Lingtian is not a lone wolf. Otherwise, he wouldn't feel bothered when Yang Chong said he was going to harm his family and friends. Yang Chong's threat is indeed unreasonable. Even if senior brother Duan Lingtian has a high innate talent and is highly regarded by the fire worship sect, Yang Chong might not openly threaten him, but he would still secretly try and harm his family and friends. If Duan Lingtian has friends and family, then Yang Chong's threats are indeed a little scary. Ruthless. He's just too ruthless. As the saying goes, one should never target family members. Yang Chong has really crossed the line. The Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples whispered among themselves as they looked at Duan Lingtian with a hint of pity in their eyes. In their opinion, if Duan Lingtian really had friends and family, Yang Chong's threat was indeed very fearsome. Duan Lingtian did not move at all as he stood in the sky as various expressions flitted across his face. Currently, Yang Chong's threat was ringing in his ears continuously. That's right. If you continue to hide in the fire worship sect, I, Yang Chong, won't be able to touch you, but can you guarantee that your friends and family have a backing that can deter me? I believe that with the network of intelligence of the Northern Plethora sect and my strength, it won't be difficult for me to find out about your background. It's unfortunate that you didn't kill yourself in 10 breaths and gave up on the chance to protect your friends and family. I really feel sad for them for having such a friend and family member like you. Duan Lingtian, even if you hide in the fire worship sect forever, I'll make sure you suffer from the pain of losing all of your friends and family. I, Yang Chong, the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder, will keep my words. Duan Lingtian knew Yang Chong was serious. After a while, Duan Lingtian finally regained his senses. Under the watchful eyes of the others, he returned to his Secundus house and disappeared from everyone's sights. Only then did the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples began gradually disperse. However, even as they left, they were still discussing about Duan Lingtian and Yang Chong's threat. As the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, he was certainly capable of harming Duan Lingtian's friends and family. There was no doubt about this. Serves you right. Standing at the door of another Secundus house, Zhang Ji's body trembled as he leaned against the door frame. Although his body was still in pain, he took pleasure in watching Yang Chong threatening Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian had completely humiliated him when he defeated him today. From then on, he had regarded him as his enemy. He would not rest until one of them died. If he had a chance in the future, he would definitely kill Duan Lingtian. He believed that since he had a dark green innate spiritual root, it would be very easy for him to surpass Duan Lingtian who only had a yellow innate spiritual root. One could imagine that if Zhang Ji knew that Duan Lingtian also had a dark green innate spiritual root, his expression would be very dramatic. Duan Lingtian's expression was still very grave after he returned to his house. However, as time went by, he began to calm down again. Yang Chong, how despicable, Duan Lingtian cursed loudly after he took a deep breath. At the same time, a murderous aura emitted out of his body, causing the temperature in the surroundings to drop a few degrees. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was extremely furious. He did not expect that Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, a first-rate sect in the upper province, would announce in front of a crowd that he would harm his family and friends. He felt extremely stifled since he could not vent his anger. However, I think it won't be that easy for Yang Chong to investigate my background since I'm not from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he thought about this. Naturally, he knew this would only stall Yang Chong for a while. Although he's not from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, since he used to possess the Devil Seal tablet, many people in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land had heard of his name. Not only that, but many of them had his portrait as well. It's a good thing this is not my real appearance. When Duan Lingtian recalled he was in disguise, he could not help but feel he had incredible foresight. Naturally, it's possible that Yang Chong would go to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land to investigate and find out that he was the young mansion master of the quasi-third-rate force, the Azure Cloud Mansion. With Yang Chong's identity, it was only a matter of time before he found out about Duan Lingtian's background. He could imagine if Yang Chong found out about his connection to the Azure Cloud Mansion in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, there would definitely be a bloodbath. His father, mother, wife, son, and everyone he cared about would die without a grave. Duan Lingtian trembled in fear when he thought about this. His emotion that had calmed down was in turmoil again at this moment. The most important thing now is to solve all the hidden danger. I must hide all information that can reveal my background. After Duan Lingtian forced himself to calm down again, he immediately contacted Elder Huo and asked anxiously, "Elder Huo, do you have any secret tactic or something that can withstand the soul-searching secret tactic?" The thing that Duan Lingtian worried about was the soul-searching secret tactic. If he was careless and Yang Chong or Lian managed to catch him and perform the soul-searching secret tactic on him, he would definitely reveal his background. He obviously did not want this to happen. Even if he was being super cautious, it would be hard to prevent this from happening. For this reason, he asked for help from Elder Huo. No matter if Elder Huo had such techniques that could withstand the soul-searching secret tactic or not, he had to stay optimistic. He had to find a way to solve this problem. He was extremely anxious as he waited for Elder Huo's answer. "I have." Duan Lingtian was delighted when he heard Elder Huo's reply. He had a happy expression on his face. Then, Elder Huo's voice resonated once again. "However, to master that secret tactic, you must drain your spiritual energy continuously for it to be effective. If you stop using your spiritual energy to operate it for 3 days, it would lose its effect. The secret tactic doesn't require a high requirement from the user. It only needs spiritual energy that's at the divine saint stage or above. I must constantly drain a certain amount spiritual energy to keep it running." In Duan Lingtian's opinion, if he could temporarily keep his friends and family safe, this was not a problem for him at all. The effect will only last 3 days at most after it has stopped running. This was more than enough for him. Even if Lian and Yang Chong wanted to perform the soul-searching secret tactic on him, they would definitely make it quick and would not drag it out for long. They, especially Lian, would not want anyone to discover this after all. If somebody found out that he had performed the soul-searching secret tactic on his own sect's disciple for no reason, he would definitely be severely punished or even expelled by the fire worship sect if this news. "Elder Huo, please pass that secret tactic to me," Duan Lingtian hurriedly said to Elder Huo. He was desperate to get his hands on that secret tactic. To him, this would be able to save his family and friends in the lower province. When Elder Huo saw how anxious Duan Lingtian was, he immediately transmitted the information regarding the secret tactic to Duan Lingtian so that he can master it. Just as Elder Huo had said, this secret tactic did not have a high requirement. It would be able to operate on spiritual energy that was at the divine stage or above. For this reason, it only took Duan Lingtian 15 minutes to successfully master it and protect his soul from the soul-searching secret tactic. The continual depletion of the spiritual energy is still acceptable. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he noticed the secret tactic did not deplete too much of his spiritual energy and did not affect him much. It's time for me to look for senior brother Ji Yuli and Palace Master Zhu. I must teach them this secret tactic as well. Otherwise, if Lian and Yang Chong perform the soul-searching secret tactic on them, my background would be exposed. At the same time, Duan Lingtian recalled Ji Yuli who was in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum and Zhu Luqi who was in the White Tiger Sanctum. Chapter 1939, Chapter 1940, White Tiger Sanctum, Lu Mu. However, even if senior brother Ji Yuli and Palace Master Zhu master this secret tactic and don't reveal my background, it's only a temporary solution. With Yang Chong's position in the Northern Plethora sect's network of intelligence, it won't be difficult for them to investigate my background. It would only be a matter of time before he finds out about the Azure Cloud Mansion in the lower province. The moment Duan Lingtian thought of this, his expression turned grave. I must get stronger before Yang Chong goes to the lower province. At the very least, I must be strong enough to kill Yang Chong by that time. Yang Chong's a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse who's ranked at the 146th of the Supreme Saint rankings. His cultivation base is definitely not as simple as the first, second or third form of the Saint Celestial stage. The Supreme Saint ranking was a list of the strongest powerhouses in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Duan Lingtian had been in the Black Turtle Sanctum and Fire Worship sect for quite some time, it was only natural he had learned a thing or two from the disciples here. For instance, among the 100 powerhouses ranked between the 100th place and the 200th place, the weakest powerhouse was rumored to be at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage. The stronger ones were at the fourth form of the Saint Celestial stage. Up until now, Duan Lingtian had encountered 4 powerhouses who were ranked in the top 200 on the Supreme Saint ranking. This included Lian, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first elder, who was ranked at the front. He was ranked 134th place on the Supreme Saint ranking. Next was Guo Shang, the Silver Flame Elder who was also the Enforcement Elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum. He was ranked at the 142nd place. The gap was not too wide between him and Lian. Apart from that, there was Yang Chong, the 5th Elder of the Northern Plethora sect, whom he had just met, and Teng Shan, who was also a Silver Flame Elder in the Black Turtle Sanctum. The former was ranked at the 146th place while the latter was ranked 173rd. Based on this, one could see Lian, Guo Shang, and Yang Chong's strength was almost similar. Teng Shan, on the other hand, was a lot weaker. My strength needs to be at the Saint Celestial stage if I want to kill Yang Chong. Currently, my cultivation base is only at the Divine Saint stage. It's too far away from the Saint Celestial stage. It seems like I must look for more opportunity to devour other people's innate spiritual root to strengthen my innate spiritual root. As long as I can raise my innate spiritual root to a violet innate spiritual root, with the help of the time flow on the 4th level of the 7 Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, it won't take me long to break through to the Saint Celestial stage. At this moment, all Duan Lingtian could think about was to get stronger. He must be strong enough to kill Yang Chong, the 5th Elder of the Northern Plethora sect, before he found out about his background. Otherwise, his family and friends in the lower province would be in danger. If something happened to his parents, wife, son, and friends, he would not be able to forgive himself at all. At this moment, how Duan Lingtian wished he was strongest in the entire world. I'll look for Palace Master Zhu first. After he calmed down, he left the Black Turtle Sanctum and made his way northeast where the Vermilion Bird Sanctum was located. The Fire Worship sect's estate was separated into 2 areas, the Saint Land and the 4 Symbols Sanctums. The former was surrounded by the latter. Among the 4 Symbols Sanctums, the Azure Dragon Sanctum was located at the west of the Saint Land, the White Tiger Sanctum was located at the east of the Saint Land, the Vermilion Bird Sanctum was located at the north of the Saint Land, and the Black Turtle Sanctum was located at the south of the Saint Land. As the saying went, Azure Dragon in the west, White Tiger in the east, Vermilion Bird in the north, and the Black Turtle in the south. These were the 4 Symbols Sanctum of the Fire Worship sect. Duan Lingtian decided to look for Zhu Luqi first because the Vermilion Bird Sanctum was closer to the Black Turtle Sanctum. It would be closer if Duan Lingtian could cut through the Saint Land to get to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum. However, the fire worship sect was strict about not allowing people who were not Saint Land disciples to enter the Saint Land. Those who broke the rules would be severely punished. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian could only take the longer route to head to the White Tiger Sanctum. The disciples from each sanctum of the fire worship sect's 4 symbols sanctums would pass by occasionally, so Duan Lingtian's presence in the White Tiger Sanctum did not draw much attention. As soon as he entered the White Tiger Sanctum, he discovered he was close to the White Tiger Sanctum. Naturally, he could not go to the altar. The White Tiger Sanctum did not allow disciples from the 3 other sanctums to approach the altar that had a gigantic white tiger statue, since it contained the precious divine ability that only the disciples from the sanctum were allowed to comprehend. It was a high-grade offensive divine ability. If the disciples from the other 3 sanctums dared to approach it, even if they did not intend to comprehend the divine ability, they would still be expelled from the fire worship sect. If they somehow managed to comprehend it, they would be sentenced to death. It's said that the central altar of each sanctum has a formation that can discern the divine consciousness of disciples and non-disciples of the respective sanctum to stop them from comprehending the high-grade divine ability. Duan Lingtian muttered to himself as he extended his divine consciousness. Just as it got close to the central altar of the White Tiger Sanctum, it was instantly blocked and could not move any further. There's really a formation. Unless I go to the central altar of the White Tiger Sanctum, I won't be able to use my divine consciousness to get close to it, let alone comprehending it. Duan Lingtian quickly withdrew his divine consciousness after he gave it a try. After that, he saw a White Tiger Sanctum's disciple walked out of the central altar and was making his way to him. Duan Lingtian instantly blocked his path before he asked politely, "Senior brother, may I know where's the residence for the disciples of White Tiger Sanctum? I need to look for my friend who's a disciple of the White Tiger Sanctum." This White Tiger Sanctum's disciple wore a long robe that was similar to the one Duan Lingtian wore. It was also embroidered with a light gray flame. The only difference was the other party's robe had a majestic-looking tiger on his robe, while Duan Lingtian's robe had a gigantic turtle. The residence for the disciples of the is at the southern area of the sanctum. Since you're a Black Turtle Sanctum's disciple, I'm sure you must have come from the Black Turtle Sanctum. This means you've passed the area earlier. After the White Tiger Sanctum's disciple pointed a finger to Duan Lingtian's back, he told Duan Lingtian, "I'm heading there as well, why don't you come with me?" "Thank you, senior brother." Duan Lingtian quickly expressed his gratitude. On their way, the White Tiger Sanctum's disciple broke the silence and asked, "What's your name, junior brother?" Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian smiled as he responded before asking politely, "What's your name, senior brother?" "I'm Lu Mu." After Lu Mu spoke, as though he was reminded of something, he muttered under his breath, "Duan Lingtian, it seems like I've heard of this name before, Duan Lingtian, Black Turtle Sanctum." Lu Mu suddenly turned to look at Duan Lingtian and asked in shock, "You're that rebel, Duan Lingtian, from the Black Turtle Sanctum?" "Rebel?" Duan Lingtian was momentarily stunned before he asked, "Senior brother Lu Mu, are you sure you're talking about me? How many Duan Lingtians are there in your Black Turtle Sanctum?" Lu Mu asked again. "I've just arrived in the Black Turtle Sanctum not too long ago, so I don't know many people in the Black Turtle Sanctum. For this reason, I don't know if there's anyone else with the name Duan Lingtian." Duan Lingtian shook his head. "You've just entered the Black Turtle Sanctum not long ago. As far as I know, that rebel Duan Lingtian in the Black Turtle Sanctum has also just entered the Black Turtle Sanctum not long ago. He was admitted from the recent assessment." Lu Mu's eyes glinted as he stared at Duan Lingtian intently. The recent assessment? Duan Lingtian finally figured it out. "Senior brother Lu Mu, if that Duan Lingtian you mentioned is admitted through the recent assessment, then I guess I'm the rebel you mentioned." "Are you really a rebel?" Lu Mu was baffled. "From what I heard, you've already offended the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Li in the moment you entered the Black Turtle Sanctum. 10 days ago, you've even killed a martial genius who possessed Te Blue innate spiritual root Hu Li and planned to accept as a disciple. From what I heard, you killed that martial genius whose cultivation base had already entered the peak of the exemplary saint stage, even though your cultivation base is only at the early exemplary saint stage." Lu Mu said and looked at Duan Lingtian. "I'm just lucky." Duan Lingtian shook his head humbly. He was quite shocked. He did not expect his actions had even spread to the White Tiger Sanctum. "You don't have to be humble," Lu Mu shook his head before saying, "although you're strong, what I admire about you is not your strength. I admire how you're brave enough to offend Elder Li, and as soon as you arrived in the Black Turtle Sanctum, Put aside the fact that my cultivation base is only at the mastery quintessential saint stage, even if my cultivation base is at the peak of the quintessential saint stage or the saint celestial stage, I still wouldn't dare to offend Elder Lian from your black turtle sanctum at all, let alone killing someone he planned to accept as his direct disciple. This is why I admire you so much. When Lu Mu finished speaking, he even gave Duan Lingtian a thumbs up. When Duan Lingtian saw this, he was rendered speechless for a moment. Apart from that, he was also surprised by Lu Mu's cultivation base. He did not expect to meet a White Tiger Sanctum's disciple who was at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage just by asking for direction. Senior Brother Lu Mu, as far as I know, the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage disciples in the Four Symbols Sanctum can participate in the Saint Land assessment to become a Saint Land disciple. Why are you still in the White Tiger Sanctum? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. Chapter 1940. There were 3 ways for disciples from the Fire Worship Sect's Four Symbols Sanctums if they wanted to enter Fire Worship Sect's Saint Land to become a Saint Land disciple. 1. They had to be outstanding and had an extraordinarily high innate talent. Apart from that, they would also need the recommendation of one of the 4 sanctum leaders of the Four Symbols Sanctums. The second way was to successfully comprehend and master the precious divine ability in the sanctums they were in. The third way was to participate in the assessment of the Fire Worship Sect's Saint Land. Usually, only 4 Symbols Sanctums, disciples at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage or above would be given a chance to participate in the assessment to become a Saint Land disciple. From what Duan Lingtian knew, most of the disciples from the Fire Worship Sect's Four Symbols Sanctum at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage were mostly able to successfully pass the Saint Land's assessment and become a disciple in there. Those who failed the Saint Land assessment were usually those who had just broken through to the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage not too long ago, either because their foundations were not stable yet or they made a mistake during the assessment. I've also made a breakthrough not too long ago. I'll definitely register for the next Saint Land assessment. My objective is to enter the Saint Land after all. An eager expression appeared on Lu Mu's face when he finished speaking. During the journey, Lu Mu laughed as he spoke to Duan Lingtian. He did not act arrogantly just because he was a powerhouse at the Mastery Quintessential Saint stage. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian had a good impression of him as well. At the very least, Senior Brother Lu Mu was not a snob. It was only natural that most people in the White Tiger Sanctum had heard about Duan Lingtian since his name had already spread here. They knew he only possessed a yellow innate spiritual root. It was destined that his achievements would not be great. Moreover, it would be difficult for him to even break through to the quintessential saint stage. However, Senior Brother Lu Mu did not look down on him. They felt that someone with this kind of attitude was rare. The residence of the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples is just up front, Lu Mu said, snapping Duan Lingtian out of his thoughts. Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes as he took in the huge canyon before his eyes. The huge canyon was surrounded by mountains on 3 sides. Huge and lush trees grew on top of the mountain. They grew so close to each other that they managed to block the sky and the clouds. No wonder I didn't see this place when I passed by earlier. It's hidden by all these big trees, Duan Lingtian said. It's very easy for people to overlook the residence of the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples. Lu Mu nodded. Soon after, Duan Lingtian and Lu Mu entered the huge canyon together. Senior Brother Lu Mu, Senior Brother Lu Mu. During their journey, they encountered many White Tiger Sanctum's disciples who were coming in and out of the residence. When most of the disciples from the White Tiger Sanctum saw Lu Mu, they all took the initiative and greeted him enthusiastically. Lu Mu did not act arrogant and returned their greetings with a smile. When they finally arrived in the canyon, Duan Lingtian saw many White Tiger Sanctum's disciples. It's exactly the same as the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Duan Lingtian noticed that the residence of the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples was an exact replica of the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Senior Brother Lu Mu, is the residence of the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples separated into Primus houses, Secundus houses, Tertius houses, and the Quartus houses as well? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. Senior Junior Lingtian, it's not just the residence of the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples, but even the residence of the Azure Dragon Sanctum and the Vermilion Bird Sanctum's disciples are similar to the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples' residence as well. Lu Mu smiled. Duan Lingtian finally understood. At the same time, he scratched his nose in embarrassment. He felt ignorant due to his lack of knowledge. Senior Junior Lingtian, what's your friend's name? Perhaps I can help you. There are nearly 10,000 disciples in the White Tiger Sanctum. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to find your friend, Lu Mu suddenly said. His name's Zhu Luqi, Duan Lingtian replied. What's his cultivation base? Lu Mu asked again. He was at the intermediate exemplary saint stage several months ago, but at that time, he was on the verge of making a breakthrough. Perhaps, he has already broken through to the mastery exemplary saint stage, Duan Lingtian replied. He was not certain if Palace Master Zhu had successfully broken through or not. Based on his strength, he must be staying in a Tertius house. There are only 1,000 Tertius houses here, coupled with the fact that there are not many new disciples who could stay in the Tertius house, so it won't be difficult for us to find him, Lu Mu remarked. Senior brother Lingtian, please wait here for a moment. I'll need 15 minutes at most before I find your friend, Lu Mu said to Duan Lingtian before he flew off and descended in front of a Tertius house. Then, he quickly knocked on the door and a huge-built White Tiger Sanctum's disciple walked out. When this disciple saw Lu Mu, he acted extremely polite. From the beginning until the end, Lu Mu did all of the talking while the disciple listened and nodded. Based on senior brother Lu Mu's strength, he must be staying in a Primus house. Duan Lingtian inadvertently shifted his gaze to the 10 Primus houses that were located at the highest level. The Primus houses were mansions and occupied a large area. Moreover, the cultivation environment inside the house was 2 times better than it was in Secundus houses. When my cultivation base has broken through to the peak of the Divine Saint stage, I'll be able to stay in a Primus house in the residence of the Black Turtle Sanctum's disciples. Duan Lingtian's eyes shone brightly when he thought about this. Duan Lingtian, a familiar voice called out to Duan Lingtian when he was lost in his thoughts. When he regained his senses, he discovered Lu Mu had returned with another person in tow. That person was none other than Zhu Luqi. Palace Master Zhu. Duan Lingtian greeted Zhu Luqi first before he turned to Lu Mu and said, "Thank you, senior brother Lu Mu." "There's no need for that, junior brother Lingtian." Lu Mu smiled. "I'm happy I made friends with you today. Please come here and look for me often for a chat. I have no idea when we'll be able to meet again after I enter the Saint Land." "Sure," Duan Lingtian nodded. "Senior Junior Lingtian, would you like to catch up with your friend in my mansion?" Lu Mu asked as he pointed to one of the Primus houses. "Thank you for your good intention, senior brother Lu Mu, but there's no need for that. I'll be leaving as soon as I have a short chat with my friend. I still have something I have to do after this." Duan Lingtian rejected Li Mu's invitation because he did not want to trouble him further. As the saying went, a debt of gratitude is the hardest to be repaid. If it was possible, he really did not want to owe too many people favors. "All right then, have a great chat." Lu Mu did not insist on Duan Lingtian coming over after he had rejected him. After he bade goodbye to Duan Lingtian and Zhu Luqi, he returned to his residence immediately. "Duan Lingtian, how do you know him?" Zhu Luqi asked in shock after Lu Mu left. "He's one of the few mastery quintessential saint stage disciples in our White Tiger Sanctum and is a top powerhouse among the White Tiger Sanctum's disciples. I got to know him when I was asking for directions to look for you," Duan Lingtian replied. "You got to know him when you were asking for directions?" Zhu Luqi was momentarily speechless when he heard Duan Lingtian's answer. He had become friends with an elite disciple of their White Tiger Sanctum just by asking for directions. He really did not know what to say. "Is there a reason you came looking for me?" Zhu Luqi asked bluntly as soon as he regained his senses. "Yes." Duan Lingtian's expression turned grave immediately. It instantly pressured Zhu Luqi. After that, Duan Lingtian began to tell him about how Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, had come to look for him and threaten him. "The reason I came to look for you is to pass on a secret tactic to you. As long as you master this secret tactic, there's no need for you to worry about Yang Chong and Li and performing the soul-searching secret tactic on you. This way, he won't be able to pry into my background for the time being," Duan Lingtian said again after he told Zhu Luqi about what had happened. Yang Chong, the powerhouse who's ranked number 146th of the Supreme Saint rankings. Zhu Luqi gasped as a fearful expression appeared on his face. Meanwhile, he was receiving the secret tactic that could counter a soul-searching secret that Duan Lingtian passed to him through his divine consciousness. With this secret tactic, whether it's Yang Chong or Lian, none of them will be able to find out about your background for the time being. As long as we don't leave the fire worship sect, they won't be able to do anything to us at all, Zhu Luqi said. Soon after, He added, however, Yang Chong is still the fifth elder of the upper land of Dao Martial Saint Land First-Rate Force, the Northern Plethora sect. With their network of intelligence, I'm afraid he'll eventually find out about your background. He had a worried expression on his face when he finished speaking. I know. I'll definitely get stronger so I can kill him and get rid of this threat before he finds out about my background. Duan Lingtian nodded. When he spoke, his eyes shone with cold killing intent. I heard you have a yellow innate spiritual root. Zhu Luqi asked with a wry smile. He had also heard about how Duan Lingtian possessed the yellow innate spiritual root. For this reason, he found it hard to believe Duan Lingtian's words. With the Northern Plethora sect's network of intelligence, no matter how inept they were, it would be easy for them to find out about Duan Lingtian's background in 10 years. It was easier for Duan Lingtian to ascend to heaven than to grow strong enough to kill Yang Chong in less than 10 years since he possessed the yellow innate spiritual root. As someone who was ranked at the 146th place on the Supreme Saint rankings, naturally, Yang Chong was not a simple person. Palace Master, everything will be fine as long as you comprehend and master the secret tactic I just passed to you. As for other matters, you can just leave it to me. Duan Lingtian did not explain much to Zhu Luqi even after he heard his question. After Duan Lingtian finished speaking confidently, he bade farewell to Zhu Luqi. It's time for me to head to the Vermilion Bird Sanctum to look for senior brother Ji Yuli. Be careful, Palace Master Zhu. As soon as he finished speaking, he left like so quickly as though he had turned into a gust of wind. Be careful, Zhu Luqi muttered under his breath as he looked at Duan Lingtian's disappearing silhouette.